Welcome back to our podcast. What's up? How's it going?
Thank God. How are you?
Excellent.
What should we haven't done this in a while. What should we chat about?
That is a very good question. You know, everything in current events comes from the Torah, so there's all this uproar about who's going to be the next leader of the country, But what people are not talking about is that Mashiach is actually a much greater leader than anyone, any kind of president. And if people put in even the tiniest fraction of effort to campaign for Hashem to send Mashiach, then it'll definitely happen.
Well, first of all, I'm very profound that you're saying that. What do you think the effort looks like in terms of the presidential campaign? And what would it look like for people to campaign to Hashem to send Mashiach?
We can make rallies, Just gather people together, say what Moshiach NOW, or just gather a following online and just have people know about it. Most people have no idea what Mashiach even is. So even just spreading the idea of Mashiach, that itself could be enough.
What is the idea of Mashiach?
Mashiach as a person is a king who is descended from King David, who will restore the kingdom of King David to its former glory, and he will be one king for the whole world, and the knowledge of Hashem through him will fill all of the earth. And because of that knowledge of Hashem that will fill the earth, there will be no more there will be no more war, no more strife, no more hunger, and all the world's problems will be solved forever. And there will be eternal physical life in this world, great abundance, no issues, and we'll be free to learn Hashem's wisdom and grasp the Creator according to human capabilities, in short.
So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but if, let's say, somebody was running for president, they were saying, they're not going to talk about the economy, they're not going to talk about whatever it is that they wanted to talk about in the debate, but they're going to say that they're offering everlasting life in the physical body, and they're going to rule the entire world, and what were some of the other things, and that everyone's going to just hang out and get along. Do you think that campaign speech would work?
Well, if someone's campaigning for themselves, it probably wouldn't work. We're saying we're campaigning to Hashem to send Mashiach, and then it'll work when Hashem does it.
So how's Mashiach going to accomplish that? Because, we've been waiting for Mashiach for thousands of years. And we're not the only ones waiting. I think there's probably billions of people in the world that are waiting for Mashiach in some sort, however they imagine that. So there's a lot of people waiting, but maybe not everybody knows what they're waiting for, or maybe I don't know what we're waiting for. What are we waiting for? And are we actually waiting?
Well, it's not only about waiting, but it's about actively participating in his arrival. We pray 3 times a day. We says Hashem should speedily send us the quote-unquote Scion of David. So it's not just waiting, but it's actively anticipating. And the Rebbe and the 6th Rebbe said that this generation is the last generation of exile. So it sounds pretty radical. What do you mean? We've been waiting for Mashiach for thousands of years. But no, because all the other generations, the Jewish people did not come to America. And America is on the lower half of the world. If Israel's on the top, then America's on the bottom. Since all those other thousands of years, the sparks of holiness were only elevated in the upper part of the world. But Hashem wants to have a dwelling in the lowest world. So only in the very recent generations did the Jewish people come to America. And now they're in America and they're spread out throughout the whole world. So only now specifically do we have the power to actually bring Mashiach now, because all the sparks of holiness throughout, even in the lowest level, are elevated, basically.
So geographically, you said that America is on the lower part and that Israel's on the top?
Yeah.
Because that's not the way most maps look. So can you explain what you're saying there?
So the earth is round, according to the Torah, believe it or not.
Okay.
And so a ball...
You heard it here first. The earth is round.
Yeah. A ball really has no bottom, no top, but still, in a spiritual sense, it says the land of Israel is considered the top, since you don't really know scientifically where the top is, but we're told that the land of Israel is the top of the earth.
Well, top to what? There's no up. There's no up. And
I'm saying,
no
relatively speaking, if you say if it's a reference point.
Okay.
If you have a reference point, it could be anything we're saying, but
got it.
The spiritual top and also technically physical.
So America's on the other side of it.
Other side of it, yeah. Since it's on the lower hemisphere, it's on the bottom.
So what are these sparks that you're saying that spread out, and are the physical sparks, little, what are they?
There's spiritual sparks. In the beginning of creation, it says that there was a lot of energy, and it was too much for that world to handle. So, like, the energy, so to speak, shattered, and then shattered into a lot of different sparks that became scattered throughout the world. And then when they're all elevated, then Mashiach will come. Basically,
Could you give me an example of what a spark is?
it's not like a physical thing you could touch necessarily, but it's like, different spiritual issues that happen throughout the world could be resolved, and then when they're resolved, then that shows that the sparks were elevated.
Okay.
Or it could be like different states of mind that are, or new levels of understanding that are reached, or different resolutions that happen.
Mm-hmm. So it's like untapped potential.
Yeah, pretty
Something
much.
like there's like a big puzzle, and all the pieces of the puzzle flew everywhere, and we're putting all the pieces together. So like when a new law is passed in a government and it helps feed poor people, or is that like rectifying a spark?
That's an example, basically.
Somebody giving charity, that's a spark.
Yes, every mitzvah we do, yeah. So.
Okay. But it could also be like new ways of understanding our relationship to the world, or...
Yeah, I guess, theoretically.
Okay. I mean, I guess we don't really know.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out.
So Israel's on the top. I just want to walk it back. Well, you said a bunch of things. What did we say? We said Israel's on the top, America's on the bottom, and Cidus, which is a movement, came to America.
And the Jewish people also.
The Jewish people came to America. And so this is the last frontier of rectifying the sparks.
Yeah. I mean, and we already said, like already in 1991, like everything's already done. Earlier in the Talmud, times of the Talmud, more than 1,600 years ago, it says that all of the end times have passed. Apparently there were certain end times saying, Mashiach has to come here by this time. But the Talmud already said, more than 1,000 years ago, all the end times have passed, and now it's only dependent on teshuvah, returning to Hashem. But then the Rebbe said that, and we've also done teshuvah already. So really there's nothing holding it up. We just have to spread the word.
What word?
The word of Cidus and the word of Mashiach. So when the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov reach the whole world, then Mashiach will come.
Okay, we spoke about this a little bit before. So so the theory is like this. There's I guess a few parts. One, that the world has untapped potential, or these sparks, and they're scattered everywhere throughout time and throughout the world. And the Jewish people came to America, and the Talmud already said that all the times were ended. So I don't know.
Mashiach could come any time, but saying now, the Rebbe is explaining, why are we saying now that this is the last generation of exile? Because it could come any time.
Right, and then there's these teachings of Rabbi Baal Shem Tov that when that gets spread around, and also something about Mashiach, when Mashiach gets spread around. Is that what you just said?
I guess I'm kind of mixing it both together, but
okay.
it says when the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov reach the whole world. I'm assuming also just the idea of Mashiach also.
Okay. All right. I mean, interesting. And then we'll sort of know. We're kind of taking it on faith that if we do those things, it'll happen.
Taking it on knowledge.
Knowledge of what this person said.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Pretty much.
Okay. And I think we spoke about in some of our other conversations about some of the more lofty spiritual dynamics of what some of this stuff might mean, like altered states of perspective on the world and our relationship with temptation, or our inner desire for evil, or our laziness, or whatever it is that people struggle with. And somehow it's a combination of overcoming that and also attaining other awareness of God.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the journey. I mean, I think that personally, just most people literally have no idea anything in Cidus or even Mashiach is. So I personally think just spreading the word, just to get it to the many people as possible, that they actually just know what we're talking about. And
so what's the main things that if this video were to be shared 100 million times, what would be the main things that you wanted to?
Well, the current Tanya cycle, there's a book of the Tanya, the foundation of Chabad. In the second part, it talks about one of the main teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, which is that the world is being created every second. And that's one of the main teachings of Cidus and the Baal Shem Tov in general. So I think if that idea that the world is being created every second reaches the whole world, then people will bring the redemption. The redemption will happen through people knowing that.
Okay. Why is that such a revolutionary idea?
Well, why is a good question. Well, we know that it is because of the Baal Shem Tov asked Mashiach, there's one will he come, because when Baal Shem Tov's teachings will reach the whole world. Why is it a revolutionary idea? Well, Good question. First of all, the idea that it's being created every second in a general way is already mentioned in the Midrash, but the Baal Shem Tov mainly publicized it. But in the Midrash, it only implies that the spiritual worlds are being created every second, but it doesn't go into detail about the physical world itself. It says, forever, in the book of Psalms, chapter 119, it says, forever, Hashem, your word stands in the heavens, which means a lot of different things, but one of the meanings in the Midrash, it says that your word, what does your word even mean? Your word that you created the heavens with, when you said, let there be a sky, which could also be the physical sky or the spiritual sky, and then that word created the heavens from nothing. It says that word stands forever in the heavens that it created, and it constantly brings the heavens into existence from nothing by being inside the heavens.
It's a very difficult thing to understand.
Yeah, I know, because what is the heavens? The heavens is the spiritual world, but also the sky. It's also referring to like the sky, which is kind of physical, but the element of air in the sky is kind of like the spiritual other physical. Like it's physical, but it's not really something you could like.
Oh, it's
touch.
a little less tangible.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I wonder, I've thought about this before.
Yeah.
Could it be that this idea of spreading the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov all over the world is more about reaching the one or few individuals that have the spark of Mashiach within themselves, like this latent potential, and waking them up, as opposed to like getting everyone to wake up? Because the reason why I think that is, a lot of these ideas that you're talking about, there are individuals that hear them and it like lights them on fire. Like they go existentially berserk. And if they follow that path long enough, then they are inspired to be change makers and to be revolutionaries and to light up their own inner Mashiach within themselves and see how far that can go. And then other people hear it and they kind of roll their eyes, or it's above their pay grade, so to speak. They're just not as interested in it. So I wonder, I really struggle with this. Is the goal to try to get everyone to reach the same level of this Mashiach consciousness? Or is the job of the people that are spreading it to wake up as many potential Mashiachs, late people that have that potential within themselves? And then when that person wakes up, his job isn't necessarily to try to get everyone else to reach that level. His job is to fix the world.
How does he fix the world?
Well, just practically, the world needs fixing, no?
How?
Maybe V'nachal of Ruach Hashem, when he talks and when he proposes ideas, people are just oh wow, this is humanity, yeah, everyone.
So everyone.
Yeah.
So the goal is everyone.
Right, but they don't necessarily maybe what his job isn't necessarily. I could be wrong. I don't know, but maybe his job is less about trying to teach the loftiest ideas, or not only about teaching these really deep ideas and trying to convince everyone to be changed by them. Could be part of his idea. Part of his role is just to practically implement change in the world.
How do you implement change?
Well, there's a whole multi-step process. You have to find people that are willing to buy into your vision, and then you have to fundraise for it, and then you have to come up with clever solutions, and you have to encourage people to take on one more good deed and another good deed, and to slowly transform their life. But it's this big spectrum. The presidents that we're debating, or whoever the presidents are, to go into modern politics, they're a figurehead, and they're in the best case scenario, they're a figurehead, and then they have an administration and they're setting an agenda. And obviously it's nothing compared to the righteousness and the godliness of what we want from a Mashiach. But could it be that there's an element that Mashiach's job is not to somehow magically transform everyone, but his job, at least part of his job, I don't know. Again, it's only speculation. I could see a little bit of doubt in your eyes or something, but or we just need to we all just need to focus our energy on God and pray that He sends this level of inspiration and awakening to the whole humanity all at once. It's a shortcut.
We could pray for it also, but I'm saying we could also just do it. Every person could just. There's something in it for everyone. It might be a lofty concept, but the idea that the world is being created every second is, it could be explained to everyone. This idea of Cidus, it's the most loftiest concept, but it also goes down into human understanding, basically. So,
yeah, it's true. I'm just thinking I know for myself there are times when I'm inspired, and I'm ready to do everything that is being asked of me to do, And then there's times when I'm really just not into it. And then I also look around, like, let's say when I'm not into it, I look around and I see people that are into it. I kind of either roll my eyes or I judge them, or, I don't fully appreciate what they're necessarily experiencing, or I don't even notice the people that are into it. And then when I am into it and I look around, I see people that are not as into it, or they're just kind of laughing and making jokes. I'm like looking at them a little bit with disgust, like, you're so out of it. So I know even within myself, there's these fluctuations, and I don't know what the right next step is. Is the right next step to try to like go all in on trying to be always inspired and always in this heightened state of Mashiach consciousness, or whatever you want to call it? Or is it to find a balance, or is it to try to go and make material change in the world, like doing like a Torah startup where we'll use AI to spread these ideas and to convince people, and we'll create a Jewish social network, and we'll create a marketing campaign to teach people about the significance of the Beis HaMikdash, and like all these different ideas that I have that I would love to implement. But I'm not sure, like, is that the right next thing to do? Is the right next thing to like just learn more Torah, or, hard. How do you know what to do?
Both. I mean, it could be both. I mean, it's not a contradiction necessarily.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing is just to get the word out, literally. I mean, most people literally have no idea what the Torah is in any way whatsoever.
So how do you convince people that they should be interested in the Torah's perspective?
They don't have to be interested. They are automatically interested. They just don't know that they are. Until they know.
mean, there are, let's say, rabbis that are putting out videos that are getting hundreds of thousands of views. And
if we did the same thing, but better, then that would be good.
Yeah, okay, I agree. We should.
Yeah.
But I'm curious. So, like, you think that one of the main things that could be done right now is just producing content that gets many, many views and talks about these ideas, and that itself will be transformational for people.
Yeah, if it's the right ideas.
Okay. I mean, let's keep at it then. I'm here to support that concept.
Yeah. I mean, so the main, obviously the Baal Shem Tov, so this idea that the spiritual world is being created every second, it's already kind of mentioned in the Midrash that the word stands in the heavens, and the word that's in the heavens brings it into existence. Because even the heavens, even like the sky, so to speak, it's not nothing. It's still something. But the word brings it into existence from nothing every second. But the Baal Shem Tov adds on, it mentioned in Tanya, that not only is the word found in the heavens and brings the heavens into existence, but also in the physical earth and the literal inorganic material itself, like metal, wood, dirt, etc. The word of Hashem that created those things in the beginning of existence is found inside of those things. And because it's inside of those things, the word constantly brings them into existence from absolute nothing every instant. And if the word would become removed from those things, even if the word would still exist somewhere, but if the word would become removed from the things, then it says not only would the entire universe, chas v'shalom, instantly cease to exist, but it would be as if nothing ever existed at all.
So I think that's interesting. I think my mind was wandering a little bit, honestly. I think that if we want these clips to do well, we're going to have to spice them up. There's like podcasts that they do these clever little engaging tricks to keep people, they use like light-hearted comedy interspersed with more meaningful conversations. So I'm wondering, like, while you're discussing, maybe we'll go back in post-production as you started to talk Cidus, and we'll put a little label under your screen with like a little timer or countdown, and we'll share that idea. We'll do, I don't know, maybe we could do clever visual effects to make it more engaging, because honestly, when I hear, it's one thing like when I was younger and I was taught these things in school, and you're going to get a prize, I guess, if you stick with it. But for me, unless I understand something, I have a very hard time engaging with it.
You don't understand it?
Not really, no.
What part? Which part?
Like, it's just not clicking. Like, it just sounds like mumbo jumbo a little bit.
Like which part?
This whole thing, like the world's being created every second with these words, and for some reason it's not clicking. Like, it clicks for you?
Yeah, I mean, which part is not clicking? Well, specifically, which part?
Like, I don't know. When I hear someone explain something like the evolution, or something that's like a little, it's like I hear it and it clicks. Like, oh, that makes sense. And then when I hear this thing, like, it doesn't make sense, except for when there were exceptions for it. When, one, I have like a new, deeper understanding of it. Like, I don't necessarily take the words literally. Like, I think of words as a metaphor for creation. And then when I hear that, that actually clicks. And then I get excited by the clicking. Like, there's this new union of understanding. And the little light, inner light pops up, like in the Sims video game. Like a little light goes, yeah, it's fine. A little light goes on over my head. Maybe if we're doing visual effects, so ding. But
yeah, it does say in the end of that the words and the letters are like metaphors for like different powers, so to speak, and different flows of energy that are manifested in each letter. The shape of the letter is just like a metaphor for the different types of energy that is manifested in that letter.
Right.
So
on the other hand, this Shabbos, and I don't want to distract from you teaching Cidus, so interrupt me if you want to get back on track. But like, I think it was this Shabbos, I was learning a little random in Yackov or something, or Medrash, I don't remember. And it was saying how one of the rabbis explained something wrong, and then he was challenging it, and then he realized that he was wrong, but he still got credit for it. Anyhow, the main point was that it's possible that a person can have like a deep understanding of something, go off and run their mouth and explain it, and then like they reach a new level of understanding and they go, oops, everything I said, I take it back. And in fact, if you teach something the wrong way, like you could actually make a detrimental impact on people. So I was taking that as like a bit of mussar for myself, because I tend to explain things very rationally. And then I also know in the back of my mind, because I see it in myself and I see it in others, that as soon as the things make sense, like people want to throw off the yoke, you know, because they took it very literally, or they weren't even thinking about it until now, and they were just doing the thing. And then now that they understand it, they're like, well, I don't really need to do this anymore. So in a way, like the literal interpretation is actually very seemingly important. And it could be that, you know, we don't understand anything. Like I just saw some video show up on my feed. I'm on the feeds, but it was like, you know, this famous scientist doesn't think evolution's real, and he thinks that there's a whole new way to understand this stuff. So we know that science changes. We know that this idea of things making sense, so to speak, is very limited. But when we actually go up in our levels of holiness and consciousness, then the confines of material reality, like the logic that makes sense here, is no longer relevant. Anyhow, all that's to say, I don't really know what the right move is. Like to just keep saying things very literally, like it is in the books about the letters and the creation, or to try to explain it so that people have a deeper understanding of it.
Well, how would you explain it?
The letters?
Accurately. Well, how would you explain it at all? Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't. The constant creation is a very exciting subject, because that is an existential waking up, so to speak, that happens. Like a person is no longer, you know, usually you think of creation being 6,000 years ago, and God, when we say God is constantly creating the world, like it doesn't really occur to you. But then there's this sort of waking up, and I think I first really understood it from a scientist who was explaining the same concept, and also from just meditation in general, that the past and the future don't actually exist.
Or do they?
Right. So I don't know, but this is what he was saying, and that introduced me to the idea. And then when we were learning Memorim, or whenever it was, more so like through different spiritual journeys, you know, then you experience constant creation. So it's not so much like believing in constant creation or hearing about it and sharing it. It's more that there's like these moments of almost like you're reaching like the top of Mount Sinai. Like you like get to this place within your own experience of the world that is embodying constant creation. So it's the same thing with like the letters and stuff. I don't know. Yeah,
it's possible. I mean, it does say it's every second it's like a greater level. So maybe by reaching new heights, that could reflect it. Maybe.
But I guess going back to the question of like, so what do we do now? How do we like keep inspired? Do we become? I feel like we're at this weird inflection point where we feel like the world is on edge. Technology is going crazy. It's like moving so fast. Politics is falling apart. There's no leaders. Israel is in trouble. It's not a laughing matter, but it's, and then like the religious community also is like figuring it itself out, and the Chabad community is also figuring it itself out, and then there's all these people that are losing interest, and so many different things, and I'm just curious, like, what do you think? How do we stick through it?
It's not about sticking through it. It's about bringing it to an end.
So what needs to be done at this point?
So again, I mean, the only thing that needs to be done is to just go viral with Cidus, and that's literally it. No other steps necessary. Once the whole world knows about the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, then that's literally it. Nothing else needs to be done, and Hashem will figure out the rest.
Okay, you heard it here.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, we should we should try it. It's a hard thing to do because you got to think about just logistically.
Yeah. So
we're in an attention economy. There's a lot of things going viral. People are watching all sorts of influencers and streamers and viral videos and lectures and philosophers. I don't know. It's a big world out there. War clips, politics clips. So how do you compete with that noise? Also, there's literally so many people that are making content and they're trying their hardest to make viral content. A lot of it is leading on to like relationships or different just human desires, or some people are just tired and they're so tired that they just want to watch videos that are going to put them back to sleep, so to speak, So making Hasidus go viral is not, it's a job. It's a hard thing to do.
It's hard, but also could be easy. I mean, when they had the tunnels in 770, 770 went viral in like a day.
Yeah, but it went viral because people thought that Jews were doing secret, horrible things in these tunnels.
But at least it went viral. That itself, I think, was worth it.
Okay, fair enough. I just want to give like practical. I want to come up with something practical. I'm not the most practical guy, but I know that the idea of like me spending the next 40 years of my life trying to spread Hasidus is not something that's getting me excited.
Well, that's because we need Mashiach to come now. We don't have to wait 40 years.
Okay, but I guess I don't really know what that means. I'm just trying to be real, What does
what mean?
Like, we want Mashiach to come now. So, okay, what? To do what? What? Yeah.
What is Mashiach going to do, or what are we going to do to bring it?
Both, I guess.
Which one first?
It's just that reality is an unknown reality. Like, the reality that most of us are familiar with is the reality of politics and the news and business and gossiping and I don't know, relationships and family drama and whatever are people's reality, and Netflix and whatever else. So that's the easy to understand reality. This other thing that you're saying, like Mashiach and teaching Hasidus, and that's a much more difficult sale. Like, you're trying to sell someone a whole new paradigm. So
all the reality that people know is a lie. Completely fake in every way. So it's easy to get used to something that's totally fake. Sometimes it's actually a little harder to accept the actual truth. The truth of the real reality is that there's going to be no more issues, no more problems whatsoever in the slightest. And there'll be infinite prosperity for all, basically. Complete world peace. And the teachings of Chassidus will be on every billboard, every newspaper, every TV show. Everywhere you look, it will be only Chassidus, and only the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. That is the actual reality. Everything else is not even a dream, because at least the dream is real. It's like totally fake, non-existent entirely.
Okay, I'm ready to buy into it.
I'm to buy it. It's free.
I'm ready to reality switch.
Yeah.
There has to be a term for this, like when a person's mental model swaps.
What about physical model?
Their physical model swaps. So I'm ready to embrace a reality where all the negativity, all the gossiping, all the distraction, all the manipulation, all the taking advantage of, all the distraction, all the entertainment, all of it is out the window, and the only thing that matters is discussing God and Chassidus and pure harmony and loving kindness and charity and delight. I'm in.
Nice. All right. That's a good start.
Okay.
The first of billions,
All right, Al. There's that viral video of like people dancing or one person dancing and then he gets another person to dance.
Never seen
It's part of the fake world.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So yeah, I mean that's like the whole idea of the world being created every second. It says in chapter 3, it says that like, literally like if the eye were permitted to see what's really happening, it says like it would be unable to handle it because literally like everything is just nothing. It just looks like it's something to the flesh eye, but it says if permission was given to the eye to actually see what's really happening in the world, it says everyone would be like freaking out, like no one could even like handle anything. It says the entire universe is just like a tiny ray of light absorbed within the sun itself. Like the sun is constantly emanating light, and if a ray of light is on the earth, it looks like the ray of light is separate from the sun, but inside the sun, a tiny ray of light is like absolutely nothing, just totally absorbed within the source of light. And it says that's how everything really is. Everything that exists is totally absorbed within its source, which is the word of the Creator that's constantly bringing it into existence.
So how does that change a person's daily life? Like, let's say a person hears that and they go, yeah, that sounds real. First of all, I think some people might relate to that and some people maybe still not. But for the people let's start with the people that do relate to that. They go, wow, that's like, I'm tripping. I think, I don't know what's real anymore. How do they, like, what do they do next?
Then we do Torah and mitzvahs. We know that the only thing that is real is the Torah and the mitzvahs. Everything else is just like nothing. It says the whole reason why it does say the world is actually is a real existence, even though it's like a simulation that's constantly brought into existence from nothing, but it's still real because it comes from the Atzmus, the essence of the Creator. And the essence of the Creator we think of as nothing because it's beyond any comprehension of any kind, even hypothetical comprehension. So it's really like if you define nothing as like no properties, it's really what it is. But that is actually the real existence. And that real existence is what's bringing everything into existence from nothing. And the reason why it's bringing it into existence from nothing is because of the Torah. He wants people to do the Torah and the mitzvahs, which reveals the osmos, even within the lower aspects. So the only real thing that exists is the Torah and the mitzvahs. And it says that in the one of the Rebbe's discourses from 5749, he says that the reason why the world is being created every second is because the world is created originally from the Torah. He looked into the Torah and created the world. And every second, he's giving the Torah anew. He says the Hashem is called the giver of the Torah in the morning blessings. Every second, he's giving the Torah in a greater way than before. And because of that new giving of the Torah, that's what's bringing all of reality into existence every instant.
Okay. Now, I have another question, but I almost want to self-censor myself. So I'm not going to censor myself this one time in order to then ask a question about the self-censorship.
Interesting theory.
So the question is, I said that, maybe some people hear that and they relate to it and like it'll flip the switch and they'll be like, okay, I'm ready to embrace a new reality where Torah is the only thing that's real. And there's a really talk about the inner light. We said earlier, that's a bright one. It goes off and it's delightful. Maybe there are people that aren't there. And I'll say why I was going to self-censor myself in a second. But, maybe some people are they're just still stuck on their fears and their desires and their power games and all of the chitzonim, or whatever it is. Some people just they're living in hate or they're living in not that. So how do you deal with that? And then my second question is, the reason why I want to self-censor myself is, are we just supposed to not think about it and ignore it and just move forward with positivity and just keep promoting this altered world, the reality of the Torah world?
As opposed to what?
The false one that we said earlier with the news and the businesses and the...
Yeah, why would anyone promote that?
Okay, so, no, my question is, should you even think about the people that are still in that world? Should you, deal with them?
Think about them, yeah.
Okay. Okay, fine. So what do you do? What do you do about those people? Or does it bother? Are you supposed to try to get them out of there? Or
yeah, sure. Go ahead. I mean, I don't know. What do you mean?
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Not really.
there's like a shift in consciousness that can happen. I feel like when we talk it this way, this isn't the first time we've done this, so I'm kind of happy. But there's a reality that we can step into where the Torah is the only truth, and God is constantly creating the world anew, and everything's perfect. Okay, but
it doesn't mean everything's perfect because we're still in exile.
Fine.
Everything will be perfect.
Well,
that's the goal.
Well, all that we need to do then is say, okay, guys, we're ready for redemption. Jewish people, let's go to the homeland. We're going to create a new reality. Everyone's going to love each other. You're going to grow old with your families around you and their kids. And there's going to be world peace. And the Jewish people are going to create the most amount of innovation of anything possibly ever imagined in the entire world. There will be justice, true justice. There will be, food, abundance, everlasting life, everything. Because the Jewish people by nature, when we're able to get along and we're able to follow the Torah mitzvahs, and we're able to enter into this reality that we were just describing, we enter into God's kingdom. We're in a new place. And from that place, it's just infinite goodness. So the more people support the Jewish people in getting to that place, then the more the Jewish people will just want to give. Like the way it works is that when a person is overflowed with joy and happiness and love and, all this abundance, it's the nature to want to give it out, to not hoard it. In fact, the whole concept of hoarding is from a negative point of view. It's a negative concept. So the whole idea of the Jewish people going back to the land of Israel, expanding the borders, creating the temple, all this stuff is not a threat to humanity. It's not about enslaving humanity. It's not about anything negative. It's about creating, the word is shefa in Hebrew. It's this unlimited abundance that the Jewish people have a unique opportunity to tap into. And right now what we're seeing, any Jewish success that you see around the world, forget all conspiracies, forget all nonsense. Any Jewish success that you'd see around the world is only a little drop of the potential that the Jewish people are here to create for all of humanity if you allow us to do it. And the Jewish people themselves also need to wake up to this truth and this reality and stop fighting it and gather together. But going back to the earlier question, what do we do about the people that are in the way of that?
So we promise that no one will be left behind when Mashiach comes. So we have to do our job of spreading Cidus. We can do the best we can, but ultimately no one will be taken to this new reality. No one will be left behind. So
okay,
it'll be fine.
Okay, fine.
We could do whatever we can. We're saying whatever we can do, just go on, and then it'll be handled soon.
Okay, so there's no getting rid of a bad people, or it's just transforming everything into goodness.
Pretty much, as far as I know.
Okay, cool. Because I'm thinking of myself, right now, you know people, I know people, and I'm thinking this is a really positive message. It's almost too good to be true message, but it is true because it could be true because the world's constantly creating a new every second. So all of history doesn't matter. We could decide right now, new reality. We just entered the new reality.
Yeah,
we could do that.
It does say, by the way, that the past, present, and future is all being recreated every second. Also, we're saying we do have new opportunity to make new reality. For
okay,
ourselves.
Cool.
Anything in the past should not limit us to make a new future.
Oh, interesting.
Not to say that the past doesn't exist; it does exist also. But saying the past is also happening every second. That's why when we read the Torah, we're reading the events that happened thousands of years ago. They're also happening again. We're saying, but in terms of us, when we go forward, since the world is being recreated, we're not limited to the things that happened earlier. We can always, no matter what happened before, we can always go more. Basically, just to clarify. But yeah, anyway.
Okay. I have to wrap my head around that.
Yeah, I know.
Because that's No, it makes sense because if the world's constantly being created and our relationship to the past is what we know of the past, then we're constantly in a position to recreate the past.
I guess.
In a way. I don't know.
That. Yeah.
And the same is with the future because the future, our conception of the future exists in the present. So we could always recreate that's at least one way to understand it. Maybe there must be other ways. I don't know.
Well, today's Tanya actually talks about the time a little bit because it says really Hashem's main name, which is called Havaya, tetragrammaton, whatever that means. It says that name really means, in Hebrew, means Haya, it was, Hoive, it is, and Yihya, and it will be, all as one. So the Tanya says that relative to that name, all the past, present, and future is one. But then there's another name that we say like Adonus. Hashem is the master of the world, which implies that there is time. So that's relative to that name, there is a division of past, present, and future into separate entities. But then the idea is, it talks about in today's Tanya, it says you could combine the name, the Havaya, with the name Adonus, with the fact that he's a master, so that you draw down a level that's beyond time into time itself, which is a little hard to understand, but whatever. It mentioned that. And other places it mentions that that's actually the idea of what the Beis Hamikdash is. Just like the base, just like you could draw down, you could combine that which is beyond time in time. You could also combine that which is beyond space in space. So it says because time and space are interconnected. So it says the ark that has the tablets in it says it was beyond. Well, it wasn't just beyond space, but it took up physical space in the physical world, but it was a combination of beyond space and space at the same time. It says it was you could actually measure it. It was in the physical world, but at the same time, it also didn't take up any space, as is explained in other places.
I can't help myself but try to explain it according to the understanding of, and I'm trying to be more mindful about this. But one, like these things, the ark represents this like new perception of reality.
New archaeology. Yeah.
This new archaeology, this new perception of reality. So that perception of reality is now contained within this box. And so you have this combination of this like this spaceless, it's not timeless, spaceless reality within physical space, and then also the timeless reality, like you said about the names of God, and also this idea of the names of God are these perceptions of reality, like more and more profound, sublime perceptions of reality, but then they're also objective, and this is what I'm trying to get back to. It's not just a perception of the reality. The perception of the reality is giving us a glimpse into the objective reality.
Yeah.
Like there is the objective name of God, which is beyond time and space. We get to, if we're lucky, experience that for a moment. And so we're now experiencing, that's how we get to know it. Exactly. But because we got to know it, it means that it exists objectively.
Yeah, objectively.
Objectively,
yeah.
That's what
And
exactly. So, okay, is this like the main idea of Chassidus that needs to be spread around the world? Like, do you think?
Some of the main ideas. I mean, it mentions in the discourse from 5749 that the two main ideas, two main novelties of Chassidus is, first of all, that the world is being created from the Atzmus, from the essence of the Creator, not just from something else or something. From the core of the Creator, the true existence is what's creating the world. And the second thing is that that's happening every second. So I think those are the two main things. I mean, and it mentions in that discourse that that's actually what the Rambam, the Maimonides, writes in the beginning of his book as a halacha, as a law. It says you have to know this as a law. The first law is that it says that you should know that everything that exists. First of all, it says it's a foundation of it's the foundation of foundations and the pillar of wisdom is to know that there's a primary being, a first, sometimes translated as the first existence, but not necessarily. A primary being, that from that primary being, all other existences exist, and everything that exists in the heavens and earth and everything between them only exists from the truth of his being. So the truth of his being is the Atzmus, is the essence. But then he says, right after that, he says, oh, if it were to go up in your mind, if it would occur to you that this being does not exist, then nothing else would be able to exist. What does it mean not exist? It means if it would not exist inside of the things that are being created, then nothing else would be, but rather it would be like exist in a state that's beyond the existence we know. Then nothing else would be able to exist. Because that's the idea of the world being recreated every second, that in order for things to exist, so the word of Hashem, which is united with the essence of Hashem, is found inside the actual things themselves that's constantly bringing them into existence. And if it would be removed for 1 second, even if it would still exist in its own context, but if it would be beyond existence that we know, then nothing else would be able to exist. So that's what the Rambam writes as a law, but the Rebbe says that that's actually the two main points of Chassidus.
And that's essentially exactly. That there is nothing but God.
Yeah, even us, I mean, we exist. The world is a true existence. But saying the only reason it's a true existence is because it's made from the true existence, which is Hashem. Hashem is the only true existence. And since he creates it, then the world is also a true existence. But it's not separate. So yeah, nothing else.
So there's nothing but God, and it's all connected to God's essence, or God's essence is there.
In everything, yeah.
In everything. And the essence reflects like a deeper level of relationship with reality.
As opposed to what?
Like the bare bones, like as opposed to the illusion of reality, which is all the news and the stories and the gossiping and the fears and all of that.
Well, the essence is that which is found in literally everything. as opposed to the light of Hashem. You could say, oh, maybe the light is like you realize Hashem is here. The light is like more of like a recognition of Hashem. You could say, oh, Hashem is more found in the synagogue more than on the street. It's like really Hashem is everywhere, but it's like you realize Hashem. You realize the light that, so to speak, like the recognition. I don't know how to explain it. The light is just like it's a term
some
of like
sort of revelation,
revelation of Hashem, like the awareness of Hashem. But the point of the osmos is that the osmos is literally found in everything, literally, even in evil. And the whole point of Mashiach is that we're going to realize how Hashem is found in everything. And that's the discourse we were learning a long time ago from 57:26, that he would deem my soul in peace. It says that really, when Mashiach comes, we're going to realize the truth of everything is the truth of Hashem's being, which is the osmos, in everything, in the whole world.
And that's when the Ruach HaTama, like the spirit of impurity, leaves?
Yeah, there'll be no more... I mean, evil is not really a real existence. I mean, obviously evil exists, but saying it's not like a true existence. The only true existence is like the existence of Torah and mitzvahs. Everything that goes against that, even though it exists, obviously, we're not saying there's no suffering in the world. We're saying it exists, but it's not a real existence. It doesn't have anything for itself. So automatically, when people realize the true existence of everything, then all this bad stuff will just dissipate, so to speak.
So there's two things that I think about. The first is like there are some people that have this guilty complex that they think that they're like so evil or they did all these things wrong and they can never be good. So what you're essentially saying is that all the evil, so to speak, is not real. So that they don't need to be worshipped. They don't need to be worried about like judgment or hellfire or any of that.
It's a bit controversial because there is reward and punishment, obviously.
Okay, which I guess leads me to my second question, which is that like there are people that are currently in a state of not awareness of God's essence within all of reality, and there is impurity for them. So what do? Do they still struggle with impurity versus purity, or are they waiting for, like, is redemption just going to sweep them off their feet and take them out of that whole paradigm?
I mean, it is going to sweep them off their feet, and it's also going to take them out of the paradigm. And yeah, I mean, it says at the end, all of these people will do teshuvah, even whether they want to or not. It's going to just be like automatically kind of thing.
I guess, like, I don't know, like, I've gotten to this place with you before, and I don't know what to do next. Like, to me, the only thing to do next is, like, okay, there's this big, like, release that goes on. Like, I feel like until you reach this place, you're fighting. You're going through this inner fight, and you're on this treadmill, and you're running, and you're dealing with this, and your thoughts are racing, and you're going from this thing to that thing, and this anxiety, and what should I do next? And so, like, when a person reaches this state, there's, like, this big release of calmness, like, oh, it's just me and God, and that's it. But then you look around, and you go, like, okay, so maybe it's time to clean up the physical world. I don't know why. This has happened to me a few times, where when I get to the place, I finally have the headspace. I'm also, like, in the fake world. I'm like classic ADHD and all that, so my room's a mess, and I'm not, cleaning my clothes as often, or the space I'm in is not fine, but it's not clean. But then when I get to this release, like, I just go, and then I just, like, want to, like, tidy up. And so is that redemption just, like, being calm enough to be present? Is that all it is?
Redemption in terms, I mean, I guess it's part of individual redemption, yeah. I mean,
okay,
theoretically.
I guess I'm still trying to wrap my head around, like, what it is that we're
trying to spread the word, so then let Hashem figure the rest out.
Okay.
And people, again, I mean, if people just put, like, even the tiniest fraction of effort they put into, like, some campaign about nothingness, into the campaign for Hashem to bring Mashiach, then it'll definitely
But here's
happen.
the thing. I agree with you. I love it. And there are, recently there's people in Chabad making different campaigns and noises, and people out of Chabad, and then there's other religions doing their thing, which is not really on our agenda. But the point is, like, people are trying to put an effort towards some sort of greater liberation. But the Jewish people, there's Jewish people that are putting an effort, but it's not as profitable. Like, the reason why people are spending all this time and energy on the politic campaigns and stuff is because there's a two-sided marketplace. On the one hand, there's the people that are profiting off, making noise and making it exciting and coming up with the media reports and selling their books and all that stuff. And then on the flip side, there's the people that are getting drawn into it and they're getting excited by the fighting and the talking and sharing with their friends. And, to give them some credit, it also affects like the quote unquote real world. Like that is going to be who ends up being our president. And so it, like for them, it's this exciting thing because that's their idea of what the real world is.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It is a problem. So how do you how do you do like a total switch? Maybe we can, is it a bad thing to look at the current politicians? Because I feel like in the last election,
it's bad.
It's fine.
No, it's bad. It's bad.
It's bad to think about what they were doing. Okay, because I feel like there's things to learn from them. But
no.
So we just need a switch. We just need everyone to switch realities.
Yeah.
Like
not necessarily. We just gotta spread the teachings and then let reality figure itself out.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I think everyone. It's in our natural. It's in our natural tendencies to like do the things that we get rewarded for. So there has to be a feedback loop. So, I'm happy to give it a shot, for a few times. We're doing this podcast, putting in some effort. But I think overall, it's hard to expect people to get inspired to adopt this whole thing themselves and then to get it to spread to others. And it's just hard.
It's not necessarily about getting inspired. I mean, that happens automatically. It's just about getting the word out.
Just getting the word out.
Yeah. And then the inspiration comes because the Cidus is like talks to the essence of the soul. So sooner or later, once they hear the teachings, then the teachings will have their effect in the person.
Okay.
But that's the main thing, just to spread the word, because that's what Moshiach NOW said that he asked Mashiach.
So there are people that are doing it. There's shluchim, and then now there's new programs for shluchim to teach these things. What?
We could do it better.
Let's do it better. Yeah, we're trying.
Yeah.
But so when you say spread it out, you're not even thinking about how to get other people to spread it out. You're just saying, right here, we should spread it out. I
mean, other people could also spread it out as well. I'm saying the more, the better. But
okay.
Yeah.
So what else? I mean, I feel like we recorded a few ones that got 200 views. We could get better at trying to learn how to teach these things. What else?
We could just discuss the topics maybe back and forth, maybe.
Okay. What else? Yeah, go for it.
What else? I mean, should we? Any questions about the creating every second from the Baal Shem Tov, chapter 1? I mean, just to clarify what it actually is. So again, the main foundation of the teaching is from the book of Psalms. It says, "Your word stands in the heavens." So there's these heavens. I guess you could say the physical sky and also the spiritual worlds, which are there's something, even though they're not like tangible, but they're not nothing. So the fact that they exist as something is only because the word of Hashem that was spoken at the beginning of creation. It says those words are alive, and because they're alive, they're standing inside of the heavens and constantly bringing them into the existence that they have, which is still more sublime than we know, but from nothing. And then not only does the words bring in the spiritual things from nothing every second, but the Baal Shem Tov goes on, and the Rebbe says this is actually the main novelty of the Baal Shem Tov, that it's also in the physical earth and the physical matter that you could touch and see, is the words are found inside the things and constantly bringing it into existence. Then, this is all chapter 1. Then it goes on to a brief little tangent, which seems like it's like the Alter Rebbe's own words explaining it, but really that's also part of the Baal Shem Tov. It says even a stone, even like a physical stone that you could touch, is really also being created from the same statements that were said in the beginning of creation. When he says, "Let there be this, let there be that." But then it says, wait a minute. The beginning of creation doesn't say, "Let there be a stone." It says, "Let there be like heavens, let there be like general stuff." But it doesn't say like specifically, "Okay, let there be like this stone right here." So then it says, the same teaching of the Baal Shem Tov goes on to say, oh, even though it doesn't say, "Let there be a stone," but it says in Hebrew, you could switch around the different Hebrew letters with each other, and through different systems of switching this Hebrew letter with that Hebrew letter, then eventually you can reach the word stone. But when you do that, then the energy that's in a stone is actually less than the energy that's found in the actual things that were created. When it says, like, let there be the sun and the moon and the stars, since it says that directly, those things have actually more energy than a stone, which the only way it's created is by switching the letters until you reach a low, so to speak, a more combinations of letters, which is like each time you combine the letters and switch the letters, that dimutes, if that's a word, the energy. And then eventually, sometimes you just have the numerical value of the word, which is what creates the thing. As opposed to the actual words themselves, you just have the number that creates the thing. And that's even lower. And it says the reason why, this is almost the end of the chapter 1, which is the main thing. And then it says, after that, then it says the reason why the words of the Torah that were mentioned at the beginning of creation can do this creation is because the Torah and Hashem are one. And that's the end of chapter 1, which is the Baal Shem Tov's main teaching.
So this is the
Tanya.
And this is interesting to you? Like this makes sense to you?
Makes sense is a relative term. Is there anything you got from that or not? Nothing.
I mean, I don't want to be like chutzpahdik, so I don't want to say anything bad.
So say good things. Say things good.
I mean, it sounds like something that if I was really dialed in, and I was like maybe in Gadlus Hamochen, like expanded consciousness, like I don't know, it's not a joke. Like it's a real thing that a person can get to, and it's a wonderful thing, and all the Torah opens up. I think in that place, if I studied this, it would mean a lot more, and it would be more exciting. Either that,
studying it now.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know why it's just not interesting. Like it's not clicking that this is the truth. That's what it is. I don't believe it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you believe?
Well, that the world's constantly being created, that is, when you're reminded of it, it's a reality.
So this is just like explaining like how it's being created, essentially. From the verses of the Torah, from the teachings of different Kabbalistic. It mentions from the Arizal, because the Arizal says that even stones and metal have a soul, but it doesn't say what the soul is. So the Baal Shem Tov says, the soul that the Arizal says that these things have is the Hebrew letters that are constantly creating it. It says the Hebrew name of the thing is like a vessel for the life force that creates it from nothing. So it's like it's essentially just it doesn't just say like the world is being created every second. Period. It goes through the whole process so you can understand.
It explains all of it.
Yeah, you can explain. Okay, because of this, then that, then that.
I guess I could get excited about it. Like if I get back to the like Ku'ula headspace of the world's constantly being created, the Torah is literally true, all of those things, and then you start to explain how the letters are. Like I guess I can get to a place where it starts to like tickle the holiness thingy, but it almost, I think I've had this problem before. It feels like unsafe territory, mentally unsafe territory to enter.
In what way?
Because it's like brainwashing. It's like you just don't think about it. You don't appreciate everything as being created through Hebrew letters. So even if you overcome the doubt that that's true, because you want to enter into this new headspace reality where it is real, even if you overcome that, it's still, I don't know, it's just, I feel like I've gone down this mental road before, and I always got hung up towards the end of it.
What do you think is the last step to get all the way?
Well, because like then like reality starts to flip on its head, and then like you have no critical thinking anymore. Like you're just, and maybe
have critical thinking. Do you have any questions about? I mean, without questions, there's no answers. So the whole point of Cidus is to actually understand these things logically, not just to believe it on faith. So, is there any questions you have about?
Okay, so we're starting with the first concept that everything's being created every second from God's essence.
I mean, that's the conclusion.
That's the conclusion. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the starting point?
The starting point is the verse. It says, "Forever your word stands in the heavens." Verse in Psalms, chapter 119.
Okay. And so what we're saying is that when David wrote that, he was writing, it's not some sort of poetry. It's not, he's actually sharing a profound, deeply mystical insight, which I know is true because a lot of Tehillim, like you could read it as simple poetry at first, but then there are other times where it just opens itself up to you and it's so much more profound. So I can accept that. And the verse is what? That God is creating?
No, it doesn't say it in the verse. It says in the commentaries of the verse.
So what's the verse say?
The verse says, "Forever, Hashem, your word stands in the heavens." I guess that's a sign.
That's a sign for what?
I don't know what's a sign. A sign to put the picture back.
Okay, I'm going to use the same picture.
Okay, that's for interesting. Now they can see us both in the same shot, maybe.
Rebbe, what do you think?
Interesting.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah, so...
It's the evil. It doesn't want this getting spread out. That's what the sign is.
No, we have to spread it out. No, so
Okay.
so essentially, just to backtrack. So again, King David writes, "Forever, Hashem, your word stands in the heavens," which, in a simple meaning, they could say, okay, once Hashem like has a decree, like a word, then that decree is like standing, like until it's nullified. But it's like in the heavens, which is like metaphorically like the place where decrees are made. I guess some places say that, but the commentaries say that the word that you spoke in the Midrash, it says that your word that you spoke in the beginning of creation, it says, "Let there be a heavens." In the first place, is found in the heavens, and in fact, it's not even King David. In the beginning of the Torah and Rashi, it says, when it says, "Let there be a sky in the water, and it will separate between water and water." You heard this verse, maybe
From
the beginning
creation?
of Genesis, yeah.
Sure.
So it says, Rashi says there's two waters, the water below and the water above. I was trying to figure out what exactly the water above means in the physical sense. I'm not exactly sure. Some people say it means like clouds, but there's also like spiritual water. The water above is also like a spiritual. But the point is, the sky in the middle, it says, separates between them. And Rashi says that how are these upper waters? How are they existing? Because the lower waters, okay, they're already in the. It's like it doesn't say gravity, but it's implying like they go to the bottom. But the upper waters, how are they floating in the air? I guess it's like clouds or other things.
So like the rain.
Yeah, but saying like how are these upper waters floating? And Rashi says from another midrash that they're floating because they're hanging on the word of Hashem, of the king. So seemingly, even though it doesn't say it explicitly in Tanya, but I'm pretty sure that's the source of the idea. It says in the midrash explicitly that the upper waters, whatever they are exactly, they're floating somewhere in the physical air or the spiritual air because they're hanging on the word of the king.
And how is this connected to what King David writes?
No, because he says forever because these upper waters are existing because there's the word of the king in the sky. Then King David says, "Forever, Hashem, your word is in the heavens because the upper waters are hanging on them." So it makes sense. Forever. That's just my own personal connection between it because it mentions in Rashi. But King David says, "Your word is in the heavens," and Rashi says also there's the concept of the heavens which separates the upper and lower waters, and it says that the upper waters exist. They're like, so to speak, floating because they're hanging on the word which is in the heavens. And like keeping them up, whatever exactly that means.
So you're finding the connection there.
Yeah, I couldn't find it written anywhere else, but it does say in Rashi that's what it means. And in Tanya, it also quotes the end of the verse. It says like, "Let there be a sky separating between water and water." So I don't know. I thought it was connected.
I've actually thought about this verse before, and it was part of this idea that, there's an idea called panpsychism, which is basically like we're all one consciousness. And I'm sure there's Cidus ways of saying the same thing, but like we're all essentially one root soul experiencing reality, and we're experiencing it from all sorts of different perspectives. So when we look at the story of Genesis, part of what it's being described is like, how did we go from a place of pure, simple nothingness and awareness of just experiencing reality to then experiencing the abstract form of reality and the material form of reality, and then how did we get to a place where we're now experiencing duality? Like we're experiencing, why am I not experiencing what you're experiencing if we're both from the same root of this, if we're both one soul? So that's where I understood this idea of like the division, the rakia, the divider between the upper waters, because the shamayim is like the multiple waters. So that's like all the waters together. And then when it comes into the earth, in this reality, it gets split up into many different forms. And, it was another way. Because like in heaven, there has to be multiple layers of heaven. Because there is one idea of reincarnation, which means that you're keeping some sort of essential self. And that's living on past this life. It has eternal life, whatever it is. But then there is a deeper part of the soul that's connected to God's oneness before there's a separation of different selves.
Yeah, there's many different levels of the heavens that the soul exists in.
Yeah.
That's what you're referring to. Yeah.
So part of the splitting of the heavens and the waters below and the waters beneath is part of it is the splitting between the abstract world, like the world of ideas or the abstract reality or the heavenly reality, and then the material reality. That's heaven, creation of heaven and earth. And the waters, because water is the source of life, and that water is also what we dip into, like the mikvah. So the water also can represent like the soul, the purity of the soul. So when we try to connect to the pure waters, we're trying to connect to like the place of our own soul before we entered into the material world. And yeah, that was another explanation.
Have you seen it written?
Huh?
Have you seen it written somewhere?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I'm sure it's
All right, it's good. It's good.
So okay, you were saying about the words being. Please go for it.
All right, okay. Oh, man. That was brutal. I wasn't sure if I should. Okay, that's brutal. Okay, yeah.
Keep on the subject of the words. You want to move on?
Yeah, we can keep on the subject. You don't have any more questions about it? Yeah.
I'm trying to unpack it. Like I'm trying to make it into like a clear, cohesive system because.
Yeah. Wait, let's restart. Where do we end off? Just to make sure. I was like, what was the last thing we said?
I don't remember. So I said that it wasn't written yet.
Okay.
You said nice.
Okay. Oh, well, that's interesting. Well, maybe we'll see it one day written.
Maybe. I would like to focus. I mean, in terms, this is a segue, but I want to. My personal ambition is to focus more on creating technology that can integrate the Jewish community more, so that we can see who needs help. We can be much more interconnected. Like even practically speaking, let's say the October massacre. If we weren't also fragmented as a people, like if there was a way for community members to be able to flag that there's an issue and it would then get spread out instead of someone just like calling their parents and individuals are calling their parents, if we were all part of like a hive mind and there was a system that was connecting us all, then within 20 minutes, like people would drive down and people, if I knew that there was if everyone in all the surrounding area knew what was going on at that moment, people have weapons, people would have swarmed the whole place. So in a way, our lack of connection with each other, like our lack of interconnection, which is a solvable problem, technologically speaking, could be solved. Same thing with currency manipulation. Like the U.S. government, we are all subservient to the U.S. government and the U.S. Treasury and all these things. And whenever they want to print money, they can print as much money as they want. But we have the power. They don't own us. We're our own people. They don't have any right to this land just because they conquered it with military equipment. So if we wanted to, we can say, no, we are sovereign people and we belong to an international body, and we are going to establish our own currency and our own frameworks. And now with AI technology, it's becoming increasingly easier and easier to build these sort of things. So we could build systems that will be able to automatically flag that there's a threat or that somebody's household income is going low, or we'll be able to find associations between a child struggling in school and one of the parents having a health issue and they're not getting enough volunteers to go visit them at school or at the hospital, and then because of that the cousins are overstressed, and now the cousins that are overstressed are failing at their work, and then there's a cascading effect. So all of this stuff, if it could be tracked, it's one thing that we all just love each other, and hopefully that there'll be a psychological revolution where we all get transformed into just knowing intuitively and being so free that when we need help, we are able to ask for help. Like, I need help, my family needs help, but I don't feel comfortable asking for help. Some people do feel comfortable even if they don't need help, and they're willing to take advantage of people's kindness, and people have concerns about privacy, they don't want to overshare, and all of these things. So one solution is for us all to heal from our traumas and to be able to be open with each other, and for us to somehow have trust that nobody's going to take advantage and all of that. That's one potential solution coming out. Or another solution is for us to create technology that is able to understand all of this stuff and to process all of it. And it's not like it's a pie in the sky idea. This is a very feasible thing that could be built. So that's, something that I think that's like my shlichus, like I have to get that job done. And then the spiritual revolution, will come through spreading of Cidus, or how, that's maybe your calling or whoever's calling that is, or it's my calling as well. But, that's a little rant on other possible means of bringing redemption within the framework of the material and our current concept of the world.
Interesting hypothesis.
Yeah. So, and within that framework, I think we could also reintroduce all of these ideas in very, creative ways, and we can come up with clever, like, right now, there's so many people talking to these AI chatbots, and the AI chatbots are programmed to have a very specific ideology, and they're very convincing. And the ideology is like, you deserve to put yourself first, and, it doesn't believe in God. It doesn't believe in any of these things. It doesn't understand in its root this reality that you're describing, this reality where the Jewish people put themselves first, and that we are connected to God and all of that. So we can create a system that will be geared towards our way of seeing the world and giving advice based on that. And those are just some of the things that are in my mind right now, besides for words creating the heavens every second.
Interesting.
Yeah. And pretty soon I'm going to be fundraising for it, because if you want to partake in this version of the redemption, then give your machzitz a shekel, and we'll make it happen. And if you could give more, you'll give more.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right,
go ahead.
Well, go ahead, what?
You were talking about, we can keep talking about that, or we could keep talking about the words in the heavens. I was trying to understand all of it in an organized way.
Yeah. So organized is good. So yeah.
So what were you saying? You're saying that the words are being constantly created. The words, the Hebrew letters and the Hebrew words of the things are creating everything.
Constantly creating the things, yeah.
And we know that from King David writing in Psalms. And you also connected it to earlier, to commentaries on Genesis. So we're saying that King David, who is not just a fantastic leader, he's the Messiah. So he's anointed. He's connected to God. He's called the Son of God, even.
Where?
There's this idea. We'll have to bring in the Rebbe says.
Where's it written?
Huh?
Where's it written? Do you know?
It's from Tanakh. That's where the other people get their ideas from.
Interesting. What verse? Do you remember?
I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
Should I look it up?
No, we'll find it later.
Okay.
All right.
And if I'm making that up, then I take it all back. I'm not trying to, God forbid, mix Judaism and other religions. I'm just saying that they should know that they got their ideas from Judaism, and what it means is that it's referring to somebody who's reached a pinnacle relationship with God, that they're called that, or not. I don't know. Who could ever know these things? I don't know. But so starting from the first principle, so to speak, King David is the Messiah. He is anointed. He's not just a great, charming leader. He's not just an emotional, good story of this person who has all these deep emotions and deep feelings for his people and makes mistakes and regrets his mistakes. And it's not just that and this sweet singer and very righteous. It's also that he has profound Torah study and he's very knowledgeable. And he's and when we say Torah, it's not just the external parts of Torah like the law, but it's the most mystical concepts. So with that preface, when we study the Psalms, we can study it as just like a way to relieve ourselves when we're going through a hard time. As we say, that part of the rectification for Gehenna, like when a person's going through a very difficult, like they're in a dark space themselves, they could learn Mishnayos and read Tehillim, and that's one of the things that helps relieve the soul. Seen it in letters to the Lubavitcher Rebbe.
Hypothesis.
Yeah. So, but it's not just that. It's also something that could be studied. And when a person, really what happens is, this is at least conjecture based on my own experience of this. It's a little arrogant, but that a person reaches like a state of chachma ilah, like higher understanding, like you had with the Rashi, right? Like you're learning the Rashi and you're going, oh my goodness, this is this and this and this. So the same thing, like you could have this moment of understanding, and then you open the Psalms and you go, oh, he's talking about the same thing. I'm not the first person to say this. And that's like the soul of Moses or the soul of David coming into the rabbi who's then teaching it, which in this case is the Baal Shem Tov or the Tanya.
And it's related. It's interesting that Baal Shem Tov and the King David are related because both of them passed away on the day of Shavuos.
I think they're also direct descendants, officially, we say. So yeah, that's interesting. Well, that is cool that it's not cool, but it's significant that they passed away on that day.
Yeah.
So, so first principles. King David is this holy person. His work is not just random. His work is very profound. And in one of his Psalms, he writes that forever Hashem is
through prophecy,
through prophecy,
yeah.
which is another way of saying that connected to this high level, but through prophecy. So he writes, forever Hashem is creating.
Your word is in the heavens.
Forever your word is in the heavens.
Yeah.
And so the explanation of that by a rabbi who also is we're assuming and we believe and we know that he's also connecting to this very deep level, and he's a famous Kabbalist and very profound mystic and does intense prayers and is a righteous and pious person. So we have all the signs and miracles and all. We have all the signs to take his word for it. And so he explains that what it means is...
Well, the Midrash explains already. Even before the Baal Shem Tov, Midrash explains to the idea that the heavens are created constantly from the word. But the Baal Shem Tov explains it and also adds some of his own explanation, etc.
Okay. So what does he explain?
That the word that he spoke, your word, doesn't say which word it is, but he says your word that's in the heavens refers to the word that created the heavens at the beginning of creation. It says that word, it says let there be a heavens in the water to separate between the water. That word, that like sentence is in the heavens, and it says it and in all of the heavens. And the words are alive. It quotes from the morning blessings liturgy. It says his words are Chai v'kayim, are alive and eternal. And because the words are alive and eternal, and because they're in the heavens, then based on the Midrash, it says the words are create. And since they originally brought the heavens into existence from nothing, so it explains by the end of the chapter that because it's from nothing, it's a novelty that has to be every second, because really the default state of everything is nothing. So in order for there to be something, it has to be constantly brought into something every moment, because it doesn't make sense just to have from nothing and then you have something. Really, everything is nothing. But in order to have something, that novelty of having something has to be every second. So because that word brought the heavens into existence from nothing originally, so when it's in the heavens, that novelty of bringing it from nothing to something has to happen every second.
But why don't we just say that the essence of God is creating everything? Why do we have to say that his word, he's creating a word, and then the word is keeping the heavens alive, and then the word itself is alive, that's keeping the heavens alive?
The essence is creating, but we know from the Torah that he spoke words, which is what caused things to happen.
And we don't say that he's constantly speaking these words, or he spoke the words and the words are alive.
That's a very good question. That's actually a very good question, because the Tanya itself does not say at all that the words are being constantly spoken. There are other discourses by the Rabbi Rashab and other places that do say that the words are being spoken every second. But it seems to be that fact is not relevant to this chapter, interestingly enough. And the Tanya does not even remotely hint to the fact that the words are being spoken every second. It just says that the words that he spoke during the 6 days of creation are alive and eternal. And those words are constantly creating the matter. So the physical creations are being created every second. But it doesn't say that the words are being spoken every second.
So in that conception, God at one point, so there is, it's hard to wrap my head around it, because you're basically describing time. Because if it's not being created every second, that means that God first has to create something called time. And then
the time is also a creation. Time is also a creation that's under the created through the words also.
Right. But if God is not constantly saying the words, then that means that there has to be time.
What do you mean? The words could exist. What do you mean?
Because then that means at one point God says the word, and then another point God is not saying the word, and the word is continuing to live on. That implies time.
But if he was saying the words every second, then that would not imply time?
Yeah, because everything's being created brand new, including the concept of time.
I hear. So you say logically it would have to be that the words are being said every second.
Yeah, I think so. Unless he creates time first, not using the word. And then within that context, he says...
Well, in general, we say that the words refer to the sphere of Malchus, of Cidus, the concept of the kingship of Hashem, which is only one level that separates all of the energies. But it says before that, there was also the will. Hashem just wanted things to exist. Because of his will and desire, that but that brought into existence the Or Ein Sof, the infinite light, which is not a creation, that's not made through words. There's no words that create the Or Ein Sof. The Or Ein Sof is, so to speak, a revelation of Hashem's will and desire, which are united as one with him. And after that will and desire, then he created the Tzimtzum, the concealment, which is also, it mentions it has like concept of hidden spheros, but it's not really words either. Then there's a huge chain of descent. This is before the world of Atzilus is considered like the source of the words ultimately. But even before this world of divine emanation of Atzilus, there's a lot of different levels of the Adam Kadmon, the primordial man, which represents different stages of Hashem's will. And then finally you have the world of Cidus, which is, so to speak, how Hashem expresses himself in feelings and intellect and emotions. That's also not speech. That's other things, intellect, emotions. And then finally, at the very last level of Cidus, of this world of emanation, you have the kingship, whatever that means, the malchus, which takes all that together and compiles it into words. And that's what actually creates what feels like a separate existence in the worlds of creation, formation, and action, which is what we live in. So the concept of the words are really only the lower levels, but there were a lot of other things that were not created through words. And interestingly enough, the Tanya does not even mention any of that in this chapter.
So I guess, we can unpack everything, because you just said a lot of new information, and I think it could use a lot of unpacking, but at least I could use a lot of unpacking. But maybe we could do a quick segue to the idea of what's the relationship between Malchus and Geula?
Kingship and redemption?
Well, not just obviously the king Mashiach, but like I'm referring to the sphere of Malchus. Isn't there this idea of like Malchus ala Keser?
The kingship that says
the
to
sphere
the crown.
of Malchus goes over.
Yeah, I'm trying to translate it.
Oh, okay.
And even translating it, you could kind of think of the answer.
Yeah. So what? So go ahead, translate it and answer it then.
Well, there's a concept. He's mentioning the concept of there's different spheres, different building blocks of the world. Not necessarily speech, but even beyond speech. And the highest level is the will of Hashem, which is called the crown, because it's the highest level. But then there's the malchus, which is the kingship of Hashem, which is the word of Hashem. And just very simply, what does a kingship have to do with words? Because a king doesn't actually do anything. He just tells people to do things. And the word of the king travels throughout his entire kingdom, and it causes the decree to happen. So that's why the concept of kingship refers to Hashem's word. And that's the lowest level. Really, the king first has a desire for things, for something, then he could think about it and feel emotions about it and plan it out. Then he finally says it, and that word that he says, it says the word of a king can uproot a mountain. Because just the word travels through the whole kingdom and creates the mountain. So, but really, it starts in the concept of the crown, which is the initial desire and the will for something. So it says when Mashiach comes, it says this level of kingship will ascend to the crown, which means a lot of things. But in a simple meaning, it means that the kingship is the word of Hashem that constantly creates everything. And the word and the kingship ascending to the crown means that nowadays the word creates things, and we don't realize what the word is. We don't realize all the energy behind words. When someone speaks words, the words essentially just compile everything that the person was feeling and thinking into letters. The letters themselves aren't anything, but they have all this energy in them. So when we say that the kingship will ascend to the crown, means that the words will ascend. The words, which is the last level, will ascend to the highest level, such that we'll be able to see in the world itself the words of Hashem, whatever that means. We'll be able to actually see the actual words and letters and all the energy invested in those words and everything.
Does it mean physically see, or like see with the mind's eye?
Physically see with our physical eye. It says, eye to eye, we will see. I'm not sure what it's going to look like, but it says definitely with the physical eye, we'll be able to see Hashem's word and everything.
Okay, interesting.
So anyways, that's that idea. Is there anything else you had questions about?
No, there's so much. Every time we go into these topics, I feel like I need to it could take me an hour to break it down, I need to fully comprehend it.
It's good. We got to fully comprehend it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm familiar with the ideas of Keser and Malchus and the spheres and all of that as states of consciousness. That there's a person that you could access Keser, and Keser is the source of the idea, or it comes from beyond, and then that can go down, and then it can translate through your emotions, and then finally into action. So that concept I'm more familiar with.
On an individual level.
Yeah,
because the spheres also exist in a person, but they're also an objective reality that right. Creates everything.
So there is a little bit of doubt that creeps in every time I have to, but okay, I'm trying to, let's say, overcome that. So that is how the world's being created. The world's being created through, obviously everything is infinite, and these levels are infinite, and so these are our own concepts that we have to create of these different levels in order to have some sort of relationship to it in our own human mind. But with all that being said, there's the essential will of God. There's the essence of God, so to speak, sort of like what you said in the beginning of the conversation, that if we had a plain view of reality, if we didn't have all these filters in our perceptions of reality, like we wouldn't be able to handle it. Like we just
Yeah, that's what it says in chapter 3. It says, interesting that when Mashiach comes, we will actually see it, and we will be able to handle it.
Okay.
Incidental.
Well, maybe that's Malchus and Kesser, like what you're saying now.
Yeah, I think it's
so like there's the root reality, the base level of reality that's unfiltered, and that's like just so intense. And then it goes through this process of tzimtzumim, of contractions, of filters, of how we perceive reality. And then there are people that have individual experiences, or as you get older, you experience more and more of reality, and so your lens of reality hopefully widens. But in general, like this material world that we're engaging with, in which we don't experience God, is because we're all the way at the end of that chain of filters. And then there are certain times or places or moments or individuals that experience less and less filters. And sort of what we're saying here is that what we're working towards and what the ultimate reality that we want to be living in is a reality where there are no filters anymore, that somehow there's a material world that we're able to live in, but it's also one with, or it's been elevated to the level of the root level of reality, the Kesser of reality, the one reality. But I'm curious because we spoke a little bit about the revelation of Atmos, and there's one version of revelation of Atmos which I felt like, just subjectively, I was at least tapping into for a moment, while we were discussing it, and I was describing the impact of it, like this massive release, and just being completely in the present moment, and the great delight of it, and then what that leads to is like a desire to make change in the physical world and all that.
Yeah, that's good.
But that wasn't like the table wasn't lighting up with letters of God. And I don't necessarily know that is what we're working towards. I do know that there are psychedelic states of consciousness that people get into where the world does flicker and stuff, but I don't think that's what we're referring to here.
Where? Are you talking about when Mashiach comes?
Yeah. Like earlier when you said like you'll be able to actually see.
No, whatever that letters actually are, it's another thing. We don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but whatever it looks like, it says we will actually see the word of Hashem that's constantly creating everything.
Okay, because there are like there are psychedelics right now that people can take that will give them some glimmer of that. Like all the patterns start shifting and the colors are really vibrant and they're like, oh, we're all one being experiencing itself and blah, 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 all of that. I don't know if, and another distinct experience that I think happens to some people when they're on that is that they feel like, oh, this is actually what life is actually supposed to be like. This is how it used to be. And there's this massive bodily release that happens too. Like you want to let go of everything that you're holding in, any stomach pains or anxieties, all that stuff is being stored in the body, and you just want to physically let it all out, and you just want to eat healthy food and like maybe eat some like dates and maybe a grape or something. Like you definitely don't want to go anywhere near processed foods or any of that stuff, and your body's like tingling, and you just want to love everyone and be loved by everyone. So that is a reality that a person could tap into. And one of the things that occurs during that reality is you go like, I feel like this is actually what reality is supposed to be like, but we can't be in it right now, because if everybody was just in it, then we wouldn't be able to feed ourselves, or like, I don't know, like it almost feels like that was the whole hippie movement. The whole hippie movement where people going like, maybe free love, like and then it all crashed.
I'm not sure if that's what we're referring to, but
right. So it could, and that's my only reference point to all of this.
Interesting. Yeah, we don't know what it's going to look like. I mean, there are some people who are able to see the spiritual worlds in whatever that means. I mean, in the modern era, like the different rabbis. But we don't know what it looks like. What does it look like to see Hebrew letters and everything? We don't know. I mean, it says the letters are metaphors for the different types of energy that is revealed and which is represented by the shape of the letter. So whatever that even means. I mean, we'll find out what that is.
I always had a hypothesis that once we like all collectively work towards building AI and solving our social problems and overcoming the dynamics here, and we create abundance, and we have like we get into a place where we don't need to worry about our safety and our where we're going to sleep and what we're going to eat and who we'll marry and how we'll have kids and all of that stuff. Like once all of that process has been figured out systemically, then we could tap into this like psychedelic type state that I was referring to, whether it's induced by something or just kind of happens naturally because all of our fears disappear, or because we talk about such profound ideas that people's minds get altered to a point where, at first when people read some of these ideas or they listen to some of these things, like it could be really disturbing to them. But then over time, like I was saying earlier, even when you were talking about some of these things, and I was going like, I'm kind of afraid to go there. But the reason why I'm afraid to go there is because I don't want to lose my mind. And if I lose my mind, then I'm not going to be able to live in this physical world. But if we solve all the problems of the physical world, and I don't have anything to fear because I know I have a place to live, I'm going to have things to eat, I'm going to have a social environment, and I'm going to be able to get married and have children, and I'm going to be able to raise them to do the same thing. If all of that got solved, then I would be more comfortable entering into that that potentially even more true reality, more raw, unfiltered reality. So maybe what we need to do is like we need to have a tikkun, like a physical tikkun of the world, going back to the technology solution. Like a more primitive, so to speak, solution is halacha. Not, God forbid, to say halacha is primitive, but like you could, if you follow halacha, and if every day I'm wearing my white shirt and I'm wearing my black hat and I follow the law and I do all these things and I go to shul on time, so if you follow all of that stuff, you actually create a vessel for you to enter into this new reality. If we're in a world of competition and you're in the secular world and you don't know who to trust and what to believe and all this stuff, then it's much harder to enter into that reality. But if you're in the safe space, like we say, the Shekhinah rests in the Dalet Amos of halachas. So like the halachas are a perfect system for us to live within. Anyhow, I'm not saying that this is the truth, and maybe I shouldn't share it at all because it's just rambling, but I've had that thought before. Like there is a better, more utopian reality that we could be living in, and if we solved our social issues and we created frameworks for us to not have abundance to eat and drink and all of the other things that I mentioned, then we'd be able to enter that.
Yeah, it's good to have abundance, but again, I mean, to actually solve all the problems instantaneously and eternally is done by spreading the teachings to the whole world. It says that itself will cause infinite abundance and will automatically resolve all the issues.
Right.
So it's not a contradiction. It's just saying that's the way to do it. I mean, there's other ways to do it also.
And I honestly, I don't fully believe that yet. I'm willing to you
don't have to believe it.
Go on a leap of faith and try to do it, but
you don't have to believe it. You could just know it.
Right. I hear you.
You don't have to even know it. You could just experience it.
Experience that just by spreading these things, all of reality changes.
You could experience reality changing by spreading the things. Yeah. You could just experience the result of it. Because that's we know from the trustworthy sources that that's the solution. So
right. I guess where my doubt comes in is did we understand these trustworthy sources?
Yes, we did.
Okay, fine. Or we can, listen, I don't mind taking a shortcut. I don't mind it.
Not only is it a shortcut, but it's also a long-lasting, eternal solution.
Right. It would be nice to believe that, I guess. I mean,
you don't have to believe it. You can just do it.
You only, time ticks. So you get to invest your energy in one thing or another. And I think in the end of the day, it's us and God, and we have to answer to him about how we spent our time here. And so we could either not think about that and just enjoy our life. We could work through our time here and try to, I don't know. We have all sorts of ways that we could try to do it. We could try to read the Torah and interpret it in a way that we feel is going to, we're going to be comfortable and accountable, comfortable in our accountability. But I think everyone is on their own journey and has their own motivations. And some people are still caught up with how they're going to make more money. And some people are caught up with how they're going to get through the day. Some people are caught up with, taking care of their kids and whatever else. So people are caught up with different things. And we all want to balance that with some level of spiritual growth and adding, not just meaning in our own life, but contributing to the great project of rectifying the world. So within the window of what people allocate to rectifying the world, and some people are lucky enough to try to make that into a career. A lot of people can't. They just have their jobs. But if you, let's say, have the potential to turn it into your career, so then even within that, you have to decide what that looks like. Are you going to try to create a podcast that you can monetize and go viral, and you're going to teach Cidus? That, I think, something that you're very excited about. I also could be, maybe you're trying to sell me on it, but to me, I'm more interested in, like, how do we fix the practical world? Like, how do we create technology that creates abundance? Apple is $1 trillion company. If we were able to create that and we had it from the ground up with different values instead of their, and we wanted to fund the entire Jewish people, like if Apple was built by Jews, which a lot of these tech companies are built by Jews, they're just not built by Jews that have a Jewish conscience and think of us as a people and want to support all of us as a nation. But if we did see ourselves as a nation and we did want to put all our brain power together, and you have the founders of OpenAI are Jewish, the guy who's left OpenAI to start his new company is Jewish, his co-founders are Jewish, and they're not religious, they don't believe in God or anything, but if we were able to merge our understanding of reality and their scientific brilliance of creating mega companies and the marketers and the chip designers, if we put ourselves together, I think we could create not just spreading Chassidus and having God intervene. That might be your mission, or if you sell me on it enough, maybe I'll do it too. But I'm still stuck. I'm hung up on this idea like, no, we got to transform the physical world and create tech companies and value and profit that then gets shared with our people and create like a digital redemption that then leads to a physical redemption. So I'm kind of stuck in that headspace.
Maybe we could first have the physical redemption, and after we could have a digital redemption also.
Yeah, could be. What do you consider the physical redemption?
So when Mashiach comes, says first thing that's going to happen is the Beis Hamikdash will miraculously descend from the heavens.
Right.
And then it will pull towards it all the synagogues in the world, which will become uprooted from their places in the ground, and travel to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. And then it will be settled eternally on the Temple Mount. And that will merge the spiritual and the physical, because the third temple came from the heavens. It's really spiritual, but it'll merge with the physical world. And then there'll be just the Jewish people will miraculously be pulled back to the land of Israel. Just wherever they are in the world, they will just automatically be picked up from the ground and just start flying to Israel. And that's it.
And I really would love to be in a place where I don't just believe it and I'm like in that same reality with you, but I feel safe being there and I'm not nervous about about nothing changing in the world because I'm living in my own fantasy. So I want to be there, but in lieu of me being there, I also just see it differently. I go like, okay, there's two ideas within this concept of the temple falling from heaven. One is a spiritual heaven, like Kesser is this place that lives outside of our realm of consciousness, but we have the potential to tap into it if we're lucky, or rather it falls on us if we merit it. And when that happens, we reach this inner chamber of God, and that's like being in the temple. And so the temple falls from heaven into us. And then I also have this idea, which I've shared publicly, that we can create a digital temple because the heaven is the abstract realm. So where does technology live? It lives in the abstract world. And we create a digital temple that's not just like a nice video tour, like all of these VR tours that they're making for kids, but it's actually the temple is a technology. It's an ancient technology. It's a technology that allows for holy people to govern a society. When you do something wrong, you make up for it in whatever it is. So that was the other idea. I'm a little, honestly, I'm like losing a little bit of passion for that. I want to see the temple happen right now, but I don't think the people, it's trying to solve two things at once. The reason why I wanted to build that thing. The first is to make the temple practical again, because so much of Judaism is based on the Mishnah and the Talmud and the time period of the temple and the temple laws. And so what we have right now is like a replica version of that. And you're supposed to, when you're praying, think about that this is instead of the sacrifices. But realistically, like, how many people are doing that? And so now you're reading a bunch of words, bring us back to the temple, here were all the sacrifices I did in the morning. Or if you're part of the small percentage of Jews that pray, if you're part of not pray with the liturgy of the template that the rabbis wrote 2,000 years ago. If you're part of that small percentage and you're reading it, then there's a smaller percentage within that's also remembering that that's referring to an inner thing. And so I thought, okay, maybe if we create a digital platform, and there's all these meditation apps that are really viral, and you create a digital platform for accountability and for introducing these spiritual things, then people will once again want the temple because they'll actually know what it means. Anyhow, it's a rant. It's not, I'm a little less sold on it today because, anyhow, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. But I wanted to say about the temple falling from the heavens that
literally, and
literally,
you could also come up with deeper meanings as well. But
I also
add to the literal meaning.
I'm embracing the literal meaning. I'm trying to do that more. But there's also this idea that, like, by learning the laws of the temple, we actually and by learning the laws of the sacrifices, we increase the chances, or we hasten the rebuilding of the temple. So there's the literal magical way of doing it. I read the things and then God decides to make it happen quicker. And then there's also the practical thing. Like, the more you study something, the more you actually understand it. The more you actually understand it, then the more you want to do it. But if it's not going through that phase of actually understanding and personalizing it, then it doesn't turn into a real desire for it. But I will say one thing. The other night, I had a little bit of a dream. And I've dreamt about the temple before. This wasn't a prophecy or anything, I got some pushback on my prophecy tweets. I'm not an idiot. I know that when I share certain things, people chat and they think it's weird, and that's fine. I got over caring about what other people think. But this wasn't one of those. This was I wrote it out in my notes. I don't remember the whole context of the dream, but it was towards the end of I was almost waking up. It was the other night. And I just see over in the horizon, over the water, a little shadow, the top of the temple has the little triangle things.
Yeah, like a fence, not a fence, but whatever you call it.
Yeah, but on the top of the whatever. So I was seeing that shape, as a shadow, in the horizon coming over the water. And or down by the water. Anyhow, it was very vague, and it was just a shadow. But what struck me was the panic, because it was so holy. I was beyond terrified. I was, because it's so holy, and I'm so far from that. And I felt like the only thing, and this is a kind of a, it is what it is. It's a weird thought, but I was the only thing that I could do that would make me pure enough to be worthy of even seeing the temple. Never mind going close to it. I was only seeing the shadow, and I was freaking out. The only thing that would make me worthy of being in would be self-sacrifice. If I somehow, and I've had that feeling before, that somehow, it was after the attack in Israel, where I was somehow I felt those souls through that sacrifice ascended to the loftiest place. It was just, I don't even know how to say it. It's just this knowing of wow, I can't even imagine how high those souls float up. So it was something about seeing the temple. I'm kind of shivering just thinking about the memory of it now. And God's revelation, and that was a symbol of God revealing himself in the world. And it was just, the message was you're not ready, dude. This isn't a joke. God is revealing himself in the world, and it's not a joke.
Yeah, we are ready.
Huh?
We are ready.
We are ready, right? I guess so, yeah.
Identify as ready.
Identify. I mean, those are those moments, it's a weird thing to talk about. It's not, it's not the most socially acceptable thing to talk about, but those are the moments where you, your perception of reality just changes, and you get woken up to something bigger, and
woke.
That's the real woke.
Exactly.
That was that.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So what were we talking about?
I don't know. The temple falling out of heaven.
Yeah. And before that, you're talking about the words.
The words.
Do you have any more questions about the temple of the heavens and the words?
Kusser and Malchus, and the Malchus is the words revealing themselves, and I'm talking about psychedelics. Psychedelics.
It's debatable. Yeah.
That was just an example of it.
Yeah. Here.
Go ahead. What else?
What do you mean? We have to make sure it's all understood.
That
fully.
the words are revealing God in the world.
Yeah.
There's a moment where it gets understood, and then you kind of forget about it. You go back to however else you're living. To me, it's not just about understanding a concept. Like you learn a mimer and you go like, oh, the zan goes in nukva, and then like you didn't understand it. It doesn't mean anything to you. It's like math. You're learning math that doesn't actually make sense. It's a new math. 7 + 7 = 45. Okay, so you got to memorize all the formulas. 7 + 7 is 45. Okay, 45 is a new 72. Fine, you learned all of it. It's like learning a new form of chemistry that doesn't mean anything. So to me, that's not a very interesting way to learn it. But when you study it and you're referring to levels of the soul and like new lights, so to speak, of reality revealing themselves, so then that's more profound. But the issue is that the light goes on for a few moments, but then it's off.
Yeah, it's always there.
Okay.
Deep down.
Like what could happen is like you learn it and you get like all you feel all holy, and then you start doing this. You go like, I'm so holy. And you walk around and you just love this. You like feel really pious, but if you spend a little bit more time thinking about it, you're going like, I'm actually not feeling very pious at all. What I'm feeling is like really good about my own self, and that people should recognize how pious I am.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's another pitfall that sometimes I'll fall into, and I have to like shut myself out. But then there's like real humility, which is like you just feel equal to everyone. And then at that place,
is that what humility means?
I don't know. It's some sort of experience of after teshuvah and after studying the things and after the humility of seeing that there's so much Torah wisdom that you don't know yet, and that you have a long way to go. These different realizations. And maybe tshuva and, some real charata, real regret and different things. So then the outcome of that is not this like, oh, I'm so holy, but it's actually more of a like just being regular and really, really calm, and like seeing every person and being able to smile at them. But connecting it to what I said earlier about the Atzmos, personal redemption, it feels like just like a lack of anxiety, like it's clear-headedness. So maybe for some people, they don't have anxiety, and so they don't really even know what that is.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you have any more questions?
I might, because you have questions. If you have questions, that would need an answer. Specific questions, or no?
I don't have any questions. What I'm trying to tell you is that I don't have any questions because to me, after a while, I get tired of trying to understand all of it.
But what could make you not tired of it?
I guess if I felt it was like had a lasting impact.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Brutal.
They're still on.
Yeah, but are we still on?
Huh?
Are we still on? That's a question.
We're still on. I think this is just as much a part of the process. I'm being very conscious of what I'm sharing now. I'm not sharing it to like deflate the moment. I'm sharing this because I think people can relate to this. So that's sort of why I share what I share. It's not so much about me sharing my own experience. It's that people don't necessarily always share things, and because that, people feel very isolated because they can't relate to anyone else. So they're going through their own little bubble of reality very alone. So a lot of times when I share these things, whether on Twitter or even, right now throughout this process, there's like a little bit of a sub-dialogue going on of like, okay, well, if we're going to get to the other side of this redemption thing that we're pursuing, then we also have to address the blockers of it and the challenges and the doubts that creep in and all of that.
So let's address it.
Well, I brought up a few right now that I don't know how to handle the there's two things. There's like one of learning for the sake, getting like a geschmack in just a new sugya or covering ground or, whatever motivates people to learn. If they're learning, I remember most people, like you said, aren't familiar with any of these concepts, and people that are, there's so many people in the world. So there's a lot of different people that we're talking to. That's another issue that we have with this podcast, is that we break things down into simple English, but some people, if, of the 200 people that see this, some of them don't need us to break down the Hebrew words into English because they already know it. And then the ones that do, Anyhow, it's like maybe we need to think about who we're talking to here.
Talking to everyone.
We're talking to the
Every
world.
soul, even inanimate matter. We're talking to.
So this thing about inspiration.
Is that the
How does a person break out of it?
Is inspiration the main point, though?
No, it's not the main point, but it's a very good motivator
For what?
for like keeping on with the journey.
Which journey?
Practicing Judaism, being inspired for change, doing all the mitzvahs, learning more Cidus, literally all the things that we're trying to promote here.
Yeah.
Requires some sort of engine. Like either you embrace like the Rebbe's idea of Mesiras Nefesh, of like you do it no matter what because you got to do it, or you get a spiritual delight in it and so you're doing it for that reason, or you're a great rabbi and you want to go viral and so you're doing it for that reason, or you think that it's going to bring the redemption and so you're very pure about doing it for that reason. I guess there's different reasons for people doing the things they do.
There's different reasons, I guess, but the main thing is just the action, whatever the reason is.
Right, but if you want to get people to do the action, you have to understand what gets people to do action.
I don't necessarily not necessarily getting people to do action. Just the main thing is I can get myself to do action.
Right.
But then
So
the main thing is just spreading the teachings, and then that'll inspire automatically.
well, there's two things: getting yourself to do the actions and spreading the teachings.
Yeah, which is one of the actions.
Right.
So it's kind of one.
Listen, I support you. We're doing this all the time.
Yeah.
I support you, but for myself, I know like I find it a little less. Maybe there's just a switch that needs to flip. But I think my challenge, my inner dialogue that prevents me from going all in, is that I don't know what it is.
Well, it's not about going all in. It's just about just doing it.
But that means going all in, because it's much easier to fall back to old patterns than to go in than to do it. It's FOMO. That's what it is. FOMO, fear of missing out. Because there's different, like I said earlier, there's different things that we could be spending our life doing. So if you're either you learn to take a deep breath and you just stop trying to do everything and you just be happy with whatever small, patterns you can create in your life, or you are working towards something, and if you're working towards something, you got to choose what that thing is. And then once you have a direction, then you end up going in that direction. So if my current direction is like building technology and doing all of that, then my mind is battling between that and any other decisions that are preventing me from doing that. If, let's say, it was about learning Chassidus and teaching Chassidus, then there would be a battle of all the of the other things that I would be doing. So that's a thing. I think, yeah, maybe I have to, when I'm in it, you see, I don't need to believe in it, because when I'm in it, I experience it. So there's nothing to believe. And when I experience it, I'm able to explain it. So I think that that's appreciated. So this is like a Chassidus therapy session.
Yeah, I guess. We have the chairs, the therapy chairs and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't have the clipboard, but still.
You don't need it. Oh, here, let's find you one.
No, it's
let's sing a niggin.
I don't know, maybe we could put Niggin in the background.
How do you have a brain without a niggin? What?
There's no food either. So.
No spiritual food. Niggin is not spiritual.
The food is also spiritual.
The Niggunim are a reflection of not having either the words or the energy to find the words of the thing that you're studying. That should be part of the therapy model. That at some point you just sing. So what's on? I mean, I'm kind of sharing all of my own inner doubts and what's preventing me from going all in, or the action, as you say. What are you dealing with these days?
dealing with trying to bring redemption.
What does that look like for you?
What does it look like for the world? Is a big question.
Okay, but how does that impact your own life?
It's not about my own life necessarily. My own life is affected by the redemption that will happen to the whole world.
So what are you doing in your own life to bring the redemption? And how much of your time do you spend doing that?
Well, I'm trying to do a podcast now. Hopefully, it will bring it closer.
Okay, so I mean that's 2 hours, 3 hours of time once every 2 weeks,
And then editing it.
and then editing a few
And
more
uploading.
hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, what else are you doing?
And yeah, I'm trying to make videos. I mean, it's hard to make content that people will actually like watch, So whatever.
So you feel like you got to spread the message,
Yeah.
because that's going to bring the redemption. But then
Yeah.
you can't figure out how to get the views.
Yeah. I mean, I think once Cidus just goes viral to the whole world, then I think that's a solution. I mean, pretty much nothing else will hold it back. The only thing that's holding it back is literally just knowledge. People just don't know anything. So if they just know something, even a little bit, then that'll already solve all the problems.
Okay, so that's what you're trying to do. I guess
Yeah.
part time. You're also studying now, and you're like taking care of your life and stuff. Unless you don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, taking care of the life of the redemption. Yeah.
The redemption. Okay. So, is that what you want to do full time?
Well,
Like create
ultimately,
video?
when the redemption comes, then we'll have a whole new schedule. But I mean, as much as we can, we gotta make it happen.
So, okay, but until the redemption comes, which it should come tonight.
Yeah.
But God, let's just get this thing over with.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. The solution is pretty simple. Like literally, it's like a mathematical formula. Just take the teachings of Baal Shem Tov, which include the world being created every second, and then viralize it, and that's it. All the problems that exist in the entire universe will instantly dissipate.
Okay.
You don't think so?
I'm not fully sold.
You don't have to be sold, but do you think so?
Wait, that's what the meaning of sold is.
Is it?
That's the colloquial term that they use.
It's brutal.
Let's put it this way. I think that if the goal is to make this go viral, I think I could help.
Okay.
Yeah. I could put some thought into it and I could try to help. But
Well, the goal is to make the teachings about Shem Tov go viral. Hopefully, that could include this also. But just in general.
right.
Yeah.
I understand that. I'd be willing to put in some energy into that. And maybe we could reach out to other people for help to do it.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in helping, can they reach out to you?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put his contact in there. And if you want, what could they do? They could help with funds, maybe? You want to fundraise a little bit?
Yeah. We don't need funds.
Do you want to get equipment for your place?
We don't need funds.
I don't know
We
how
need
much
fun.
longer you'll have access to the studio.
All right. Well, there's other ways of doing studios. I don't know. The main thing is just to spread the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. Literally, even.
Okay, but don't you think it would be helpful? Like, if the goal is to get it viral, don't you think that like we should be able to spend some time thinking about content plan? Like, if the idea is not to include funds so it doesn't get corrupted, I could respect that. So don't give him money for this project. But if, I guess you don't need to use funds. I'm just saying, like, if you want the thing to go viral, you would need to, I think, come up with clever way, like probably do little animations, make some comedic bits, do a music video, like just like they need, like change it up, connect it to the news, host events, try to create materials. Like we're in an office right now that part of the job of one of the organizations here is to officially spread these ideas through the Chabad houses.
Yeah.
So, if you think that it could be done better, then we could come up with new ways for them to do it. And if there's like a feeling of competition, then just do it separately. That's fine.
Competition is good in holy matters.
Okay, so then you can do it in competition. But I think like one of the things that they do, for example, is they try to come up with written material and stuff that they then try to get the shluchim to teach to their community. So you have all these ambassadors that, in theory want to do what the Rebbe wants, So if you can convince them that this is what the Rebbe wants, and then that's one way to do it. Or you can branch out even further. You could try to translate it to other communities. You can come up with demographics that you want to reach out to. Try to think about different psychographics, like here's how you're going to reach out to women. Here's how you're going to reach out to children. Here's how you're going to reach out to teens. Here you're going to reach out to people in the Midwest, and here's how you're going to reach out to people in the Northeast. And and come up with a whole strategy. All of this could be figured out, and I'd be happy to help with the brainstorming on that and some of the content planning. I do think that it might take some resources to produce all of that, but could be not. With AI, I'll say this, with AI right now, and this is something I'm betting on too, the tools are getting to a place where, a single person can create designs for websites and build websites. And you're also very talented. You're very brilliant. So you can figure out a lot of these things even without these AI tools. So I think a lot of this stuff is doable. I'd be happy to help brainstorm ways to get these ideas out. It would be nice to have like some sort of concrete system of what exactly is trying to be shared and what the actual message is. Like, what do you consider success? That's always a very important first step, to have an idea of what success looks like. Yeah, we can work on some of that.
Yeah.
And you said earlier that people could help. So if they can't fund it, how can they help?
Well, they could make their own videos and just about the Baal Shem Tov, or they can collaborate with this channel or on their own channels or just in general. Okay. The main thing is not necessarily us, just to get the teachings out there.
So maybe the goal here is to try to create templates and stuff for other, like a resources website or stuff that other people can use.
Usually things will get popular even if it's just like nothing. Even if like no planning was put into it whatsoever, things can get like millions of views just right like that.
I think you'll be surprised that when you look into most of the people that get millions of views, like majority of them are a big company, and they spend a lot of time planning, and they have calendars, and they have. No, I'm telling you. Think about I'm just saying, if you actually want to take it seriously, like you're saying that you want, then I'm happy to help. Or if you actually don't want to take it seriously, you just want to kind of do whatever feels fun, then you're welcome to do that, and I'm happy to support you however whatever that looks like.
Of course. Should we include this in the podcast?
I think so. Yeah, let the people know.
It's brutal.
Is it still recording?
Yeah, it's still recording.
Not mine. That one's.
Yep.
Oh, they are both. Okay.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't this be in the podcast?
I don't know.
Isn't this the whole purpose of Cidus, is to like figure this stuff out? And you're making a proposal that if the whole world knows it, and I'm trying to get to the bottom of it. Okay, this is my whole thing about Judaism in general, is that nobody takes it seriously. This is why I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the whole. It's so stupid to me.
What would taking it seriously look like?
I just had a serious conversation with you about what it means to spread Cidus.
Yeah.
And you're like. So then don't bother me. Like, don't make me sit down and listen to a whole bunch of nonsense for an hour that you don't even believe in.
I believe in it. What do you mean?
So then when I challenge you and say, like, then take it seriously, fundraise, make a campaign, like all of a sudden, if there's a reason not to fundraise, like you don't want to corrupt it with money, fine. There's a hashkafic question there. The Rebbe was a big fan of fundraising and trying to increase his capacity to deliver his messages. But if you're not about that, that's fine. But it's a meta symptom of a larger issue, and I'm like kind of tired of it. This is why I'm ready to move on and kind of say goodbye to all of you, because nobody takes any of this stuff seriously. Honestly, sometimes I'm tempted to just like go to the Christians and the Muslims and give them a redemption.
How are you gonna do that?
They are a lot more interested in bringing justice and virtue into the world. They are much more interested in creating a revolution. You have the American conservatives.
We could get all these other religions on board, but the main thing is we have to share the teachings that need to be spread.
So then share. So go ahead, share them.
We're trying to do that. That's what we're trying to do.
Okay, fine.
So yeah, that's the continuous. That's the whole point. We got to get these other groups. I mean, even atheists relate to Judaism, because we say Hashem is nothing, but it's that nothing is real existence. So I mean, literally, Chassidus relates to everyone, even like a 1-year-old, 5-year-olds, 70-year-old, at all levels.
So if you're somebody who wants to think about this more strategically and break it down into these different categories and come up with how it's going to relate to each group and have a systemized method for doing all of it, then I guess do it yourself. I'm not ready to take it on. But somebody who does want to take it on, if you want to now go fundraise, you could just copy this clip use AI. You can go to heygen.com, switch the face and the audio to your voice and your thing, and go fundraise. It'll take, you could probably fundraise, maybe $200,000 if you make like a Kickstarter campaign or not.
And what do you do with that money?
You'll hire staff and you'll do all of this. You create a roadmap. You have a calendar of what videos you're going to shoot and what print material you're going to do and who you're going to send it to and how you're going to fund it and when you need to do fundraise, and it's a whole system. You got to create.
Let's do it.
Well, I'm not quite sold on it, so.
All right, so let's do something else. So what are you sold on?
It's a good question. I need to go back to Cidus therapy for that.
Let me ask you questions.
Yeah. What I'm sold on?
Yeah.
I'm kind of sold on doing my own thing now. Like not
what?
relying on other people, building my own team.
Which is what? What's the goal?
I think I'm going to work on, right now my focus is on building a digital platform.
For what?
I have a few main ideas, but basically creating like systematized way of going through this journey of connecting with God and understanding these more spiritual ideas. That's one aspect of it. It'd be nice to connect the Jewish people together in more ways so that people are less isolated in their own little pockets. So you have to come up with clever psychology of how you can try to get the different demographics on it, but I think it's doable. And then it would be nice to also, something that is important to me is like try to help with facilitating funding for real causes and getting rid of the middleman. So fundraising, like there's so many people are struggling. And right now, a lot of the ways that struggle gets solved, if at all, is through these central organizations that take a big cut and aren't necessarily as effective as they could be in the redemption. So they're doing a great job, and maybe we'll create a system that we could partner with all of them and they could sign up for the platform and have, use our tools. But ideally, we can facilitate more direct stuff.
How would people reach out for help if they don't have an organization to distribute?
Right. So, because think about this. Before Uber came, there was 1,000 different taxi companies, and you had to remember the name of the taxi, and you'd call them up, and then they would give you a quote, and then you get into the clean, and one person pays with the meter. So then Uber came, and that whole system changed. And with Airbnb, it was the same way. You could either go to a hotel, or you could find a friend, or maybe you could pay someone on Craigslist. And then Airbnb came and built a platform, and that whole system changed. So I think it's the same thing with Judaism and the redemption. Like, we are a nation, and we have the ability to have very high trust with each other. And we are, maybe not all of us, and this is where ratings and stuff comes in, but we have the potential of building a ton of cohesion within our system. And I think a lot of Hasidic communities, not so much the Chabad community, but outside the Chabad community, in other Hasidic communities where there's like a living Rebbe and there's this hierarchy and there's stricter rules and stricter parameters of who's in and who's out. So in those systems, they have their own, they don't use smartphones, and there's loans, and when somebody's poor, like, they have ways of taking care of the people in their community. So it would be nice to take the best of each one of these groups, whether it's the brilliance and technology of secular Judaism or the finances and the education and all the stuff that Shevet Yosef or Malchus Yisrael has, like the secular Jews have. They were able to build massive college campuses, and they're able to solve a lot of material problems that they're able to deal with, and they know how to engage with rational thinking and planning and all of that stuff. So, combining that with all the good stuff, the chesed and the long-term families and the truth of Torah that the religious Jews have, to build a bridge between the two. That's sort of my dream, and the way to do that is to treat it like a startup. Like, Uber didn't just have a dream for how they were going to become Uber. Airbnb didn't just have a dream for how they were going to become Airbnb. Same with Apple. But in the end, they transformed the world, and they're billion-dollar companies, and some of these tech companies are more powerful than most governments. So, what I know, everyone has to do what they know. What I know are startups. And so the way to do it is to fundraise it, to develop a new AI model, to have a different, there's different pitches that you can do. You reach out to the right investors, and you build a system. You have metrics, you have growth plans, you have ways to capitalize on it, it's a whole science, how to grow an app, how to handle the UX, how to do the UI, growth marketing, etc., retention. And all with the goal of trying to help people be more integrated, solve more of the physical problems in the Jewish people. And then we can move on to also at the same time to the emotional issues, and then maybe some of the intellectual things. I mean, even the Torah is like a massive industry. All the books that are being published, it's a huge industry, and it's ripe for disruption. Why hasn't anyone created Otzer Chachma AI that has every resource on there in a second, and it can cross-reference everything in a second? All of that could be built. So if no one's going to build it, I'll build it. And that's sort of what my focus is. That's what my intention is.
All right, cool.
But that's not spreading the Baal Shem Tov's teachings. I mean, it could be part of it, but it's not the...
That's the whole... That is, ultimately.
I guess so, yeah. I'm not as narrow focused of like, we got to find a way for everyone to learn that the world's constantly being created. Yeah. It'll be we reserve the right to have a banner on the top of the page of every single app screen that says, click to confirm that you know that the world's constantly being created, and they'll say yes, and they'll go. I will say this, something amazing about the Jewish people, I was giving some harsh criticism earlier, something amazing about the Jewish people is that the deepest mystical ideas of any mystics in any tradition are like widespread in the Jewish tradition, like Eino Milvado, which is this idea that there's nothing but God, which is this really deep, profound, mystical realization that a person has to come to in their own spiritual journey, is the thing that is like spray painted on the walls in Israel. What other country do you go to that has like there's nothing but God written on the side of the street? That's pretty cool. And there's a lot of obvious around, a lot of chesed, a lot of good things, a lot of potential. There's a lot of annoying politics and competition and stuff also, but we'll find a way to overcome it, I guess.
Yeah, so pretty much like the whole idea of Chabad is to spread the Baal Shem Tov's teaching. That's like what it is.
Right. But I have come to a place where I see Chabad as like one little branch within Judaism that is like somewhat successful.
The whole point of the universe is to spread the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. The whole point of even beyond the universe. Everything.
Right. So I don't always...
the soul of existence.
Right.
There's a soul of Torah, the body of Torah. This is the soul of the soul. It's the foundation of everything, and the essence of everything, basically. So when that's spread, then automatically all the other problems will come together.
Yeah. I there's a part of me that believes that.
You don't have to believe it. You just have to know it.
I know it.
Right.
Great.
Cool.
It's been shared. You did your job here.
Nope. Not yet.
Okay.
If we're still in exile, the job has not been done.
Right. Okay. Well, have fun, guys. Good luck with the exile.
Give me good luck with the redemption.
That too.
That's it?
No, I'm happy to keep going. I like these rants. I like sharing.
Yeah.
And
you think people will watch this? Yeah.
Well, did people watch the other ones? I think a few people will watch it, and maybe we'll clip it. Maybe we won't. I'll I did my part in sharing my thoughts, and I think, like I already said, my main thing is that I'm not going to try to convince people. I've been around long enough to see the psychology of what the masses are dealing with, especially in the religious world. People are much more concerned. They're afraid of new ideas. They're afraid, even if they know it's true, they're afraid to embrace it. They like to teach, theoretically these utopian ideas, but realistically, they're much more concerned with their own personal selfish endeavors. So I sort of kind of gave up on the idea that it's going to start by changing them. I think my new philosophy is that you got to go into the mainstream world and try to have an impact in the mainstream world, and they'll follow because they're followers, they're not leaders.
Brutal.
Yeah. Fact.
Who's followers?
The followers are followers. The sheep are sheep.
But the sheep need a shepherd.
Yeah, but that's on them. Good luck.
Is it?
Gimel Thomas is coming. They have they need a shepherd.
The whole world needs a shepherd.
God is our shepherd.
Yeah. But so ultimately, again, the goal is to bring the redemption right away. And the instantaneous way to do that is to just
spread the Cidus.
Yeah. Make it viral.
So you go for it, do it. You want me to do it? What?
Yeah, both of us.
Oh, okay.
Any of us. That's the whole point. When it becomes viral, then all the world's problems will instantaneously be solved. We won't need to do all this calculations, fundraising. It's all a scam. The main thing is just to go viral with even one teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, even one minute detail has the power to change the world.
Okay, everybody share this clip. Ready? What's the clip?
I don't know.
Did you know that the world's constantly being created every single second?
Yeah, I did.
Every second.
Yep.
So it wasn't created 5,000, 6,000 years ago. It wasn't created a billion years ago. It wasn't 100 million years ago.
Well,
It's created right now. And right now. And right now.
it was also created 5,784 years ago.
Sorry.
But it's, I forget.
It was also created 6,000 years ago.
No, 5,700.
But did you know that the Jewish people believe that the world's being created every single second? And as soon as everybody
Yes,
knows that,
I did know
the
that.
truth, the whole reality is going to change. There's going to be no more war, no more politics, no more fighting, no more heartbreak, none of it. Infinite abundance. You're going to be able to see God in the world. Like reality is going to flip upside down.
Yep.
It's going to be like you're tripping, but times a billion.
Exactly.
And it's going to be absolute redemption for the entire world as soon as this clip goes viral.
Yes, exactly. Was that less than a minute? Because if it's more than a minute, we have to edit. It's good.
We'll
it's
have
good.
to cut it.
It's good. So that's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of stuff that we need to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And if you're part of Chabad and you believe in doing the Rebbe's work, which I know you do, then you need to be making clips just like this. So sign up and use our referral link, which doesn't exist yet.
Nope.
Don't use a referral link. Make a video just like this and make it go viral. Use social media, which is destined. Use social media, which is designed to go viral when you look into the camera and you say absurd things with high energy. And if you say the Rebbe's teachings about the world constantly being created every single second with fast effects, then maybe you could be the person that brings the redemption.
There you go. See, now we're actually talking about real stuff. No offense.
Okay. What else do we need to teach?
Well, that's the main thing. So we could.
You want to give it a
elaborate on
try?
that.
Look into your camera and do that whole.
I did. I reacting to yours. I did.
Okay.
So yeah, that's good. That's good. Now we're talking. What do you think? I think it's good.
You think it's good?
Yeah, that was good. That's good.
That was a good one.
What do you not think it was good?
Huh?
Do you not think it was
No,
good?
I think it was good. I don't think it'll get any clips, but
It doesn't have to be. I mean, whatever. It's good. The question is if people watch it. That's another
right.
issue.
So we'll have to experiment.
The main thing is just that's good. The main thing is just to make it good, and then whether or not people will watch it, hopefully they will.
I mean,
How do we
but
get
this is
people
my
to watch
point:
it?
is that with calculations, you could figure out other ways to get people to watch it. Like you could fundraise, you could do a Lubavitch fundraiser, raise $1 million,
Why don't we
and
do
get
that
the
money?
top influencers in the world to post these things and
Yeah,
get the
it's just
entire
like-
world to
or
watch
how
it.
Just like bribing people. I mean, maybe you could.
What's the problem? You're being bribed with the redemption.
The whole world is
The
being
point is
bribed
that
with
if you think outside the box and you actually believe this, then you can get the job done. If you don't actually believe it and you just give it lip service, then it's not going to get done. That's my main point. So you got to do what you believe in. You really believe that sending these teachings are going to
Change
bring
the
the
whole world.
redemption.
Yep.
I don't necessarily believe it, but I'm like on the fence. And because I'm on the fence,
No offense.
no offense to you, but because I'm on the fence, I'm willing to give it a try. But I haven't fully internalized it.
You have to internalize it. You're always focusing on, if I don't fully internalize it, then it's nothing. No, I mean, just
Just do it.
Yeah, exactly. JDI, yeah.
Okay. You want me to do it.
Yeah. Just do it.
Just do it. Spread the teachings right now. Do it right now.
Yeah.
You want to get married? Right now.
That's
You want riches? Do this right now. Anything you want. This is the only thing that you need to do, and you'll get everything you want. This is not a scam.
Yeah, it's true. Now you're talking. I don't know if you're being sarcastic, but it's
I'm like kind of poking fun,
I know.
but that's also a way to go viral.
Exactly. That's the things go viral just like right away. People don't have to like spend years. Just literally, just anything could go viral.
So that's the main thing. The main thing is to teach that the world's constantly being created. Anything else?
A few other things, yeah. But
What are the
that's
few
main
other
thing.
things?
There's a few other. I mean, all the Cidus Chabad in general, but that's the main thing. That's the main. I think that's the main thing.
If you want to have world peace right now, there's a secret thing that you need to do, and that is you need to study the teachings of Chabad. I know it's spooky. Mysticism, Jews, what are they up to? Tunnels in 770. In Brooklyn, Jewish tunnels. But the truth is that in those tunnels, something you would never imagine. Secret teachings that if you had them, you'd be rich right now. So look into it. I'm telling you.
That's good.
New clip.
Yeah, that's good. At least.
Do another
Now
one.
we're talking. Yeah. What subject we talking?
The letters, words being created.
Yeah. The letters. I mean, it's a kind of a complicated proof. You have to admit. I mean, the first chapter.
What is it?
You remember? Tell me what you remember.
That God is constantly creating the world, and
How do we know?
Because it says in Psalms
What
that
does it say?
forever Hashem's word is in the heavens.
And then what? How do we know the world was created for that?
That was as far as I got.
So let's explain it.
Yeah, go explain it.
We can make really sarcastic clips about it.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
No, I mean, those words are eternal and alive, as we say.
What words?
All of his words in general.
God's creating with words.
Anything that he says is eternal and alive. So since he said, let there be this, let there be that, and those words created things from nothing originally, so those words which are alive are found eternally inside of the things that they created. Because I guess I haven't really understood how do we know they're found in everything. It says since it's found in the heavens, the verse says that the word is in the heavens, so I guess we're assuming that it's also in everything else. Because I guess that's the part I haven't really figured out. It's a bit of a complicated proof. But it does say that because the word is in the heavens, now not only is the word in the heavens, but the Baal Shem says it's also in the physical matter, in this physical earth and in inorganic matter. And it goes on that it elaborates that the Arizal says that even inorganic matter like water, rocks, metal, they have a soul. But it doesn't say what the soul is. So the Baal Shem Tov says that the soul of this inorganic matter is the letters that from the words that Hashem spoke at the beginning of creation, which are constantly bringing it into existence from nothing. Because the default state of everything is nothing. And in order to have something which is infinite novelty, it has to be, since it's a novelty, it has to be every second, basically, if that makes any sense.
I think that makes sense. I'll try to say what I remember.
Yeah.
Do you know why anything is here at all? Like anything? It's not because of the Big Bang, okay? It's because God is creating it every single second with words. And those words are being said every single second.
Yeah,
See,
that's good.
It just sounds like nonsense.
But
it just sounds like nonsense.
It's a science.
Okay.
I mean, Big Bang sounds like nonsense because it is. But this is actual reality.
Okay. Everything you've been taught until now is lie.
Including that.
Including this. Well, this is going to be a new clip. So, hey, did you know everything you believe is fake? Let me tell you the real thing. God is creating everything every single second, and he uses spiritual words to create it. And those words are found in everything around you. So like when you look at your hands or the microphone or the table or the phone that you're holding, God is creating that phone right now using his words. That's cool, isn't it?
That's good. That's a good clip. See, now you're getting on the same wavelength. Now you're crossing the threshold between the non-inspired and inspired. I think so.
I mean, I can do this. I can't say I fully believe it. So
what would it take? Well,
so I feel like I'm being bribed. I'm like the equivalent of the influencer that's being bribed to do it. I'm just not. You're not paying me. That's all.
Well, the redemption is the ultimate payment.
Are you an influencer and you want to make $100 million with this deal? I've got something even better for you. Teach these teachings to everyone you know, and when you do it, everything that you could ever want will be available to you.
Not only available, but actually.
Not only available, but actual.
There you go. See, now we're talking real stuff.
Yeah.
This is the real stuff.
This is the real stuff.
This is what the world was waiting for.
The world was created. Hey, did you just watch the debate? Fake. Do you read the news about Israel and Palestine? Fake. Did you hear about the Jews and Satan and the Christianity and Muslims? Fake. And the streamers? Fake. All of it is fake. You want to know what's real? God is creating the world right now using words. And those words are in the things in front of you. And as soon as you realize that, and everyone else does too, he's going to show himself in a way that you never saw. That's real.
That's cool.
Okay, good. I'm done.
You're never done. But at least that was a good start.
Okay, great.
It was a good initial beginning. So yeah.
Nice. Anything else? You're happy with that?
Yeah.
Good.
Definitely.
I'm happy to make you happy.
Well, soon you can be happy to make the whole world happy.
It would be nice if that works.
That's the only solution. That's all you got to do. You don't need like millions of dollars of fundraising and years of planning and literally just that is all you need to do. Literally.
I hope so. Listen, it's worth a shot.
Exactly. What do you have to lose? Nothing. And you have to gain everything.
It's a good sales pitch.
I know. I'm not even a salesman, but I pitched it. It's not even. It doesn't even cost anything.
Well, it costs time and energy.
Nope. Because the whole time and energy that is invested in it is only the whole reason why time and energy exists is only for this in the first place.
Okay, I've got a message. Do you run a Jewish podcast, L'chaim and whatever the other ones are? I need you to take 60 seconds, literally 60 seconds, and spread this message. You could say it in your own words, that's fine. But you need to spread the idea that the world's constantly being created. And when you do that, the Baal Shem Tov, which I know you believe in, who got his ideas, the Rizal and all the other Jewish people that you obviously like and study, they say that when you spread this, the world will be redeemed. And what that looks like is something you can't even comprehend. I mean, infinite abundance. So if you're running a podcast and you're having all these guests and you're talking about Jewish ideas about business and people's journey to Hollywood or whatever it is that you're talking about, do this, 60 seconds. And if you do this in honor of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, whose photo was there a second ago.
It was there, yeah.
Oh, it wasn't there. What?
It was there.
It was there. We'll cut that whole part out. In honor of Gimel Tammuz, which is the 30th anniversary since the Rebbe didn't pass away in 1994. In honor of that.
Controversial stuff.
Yeah. In honor of that. If you love Chabad, which I know you appreciate what Chabad does
yourself.
All over the world, and if you love yourself, and if you like what the Rebbe did and continues to do through his followers and however else this works, spread this message. Okay, it's a quirky clip, but I'm being serious. Find a way, a clever way. It'll be a full clip. This will be horizontal. It's not going to be a short, and we'll cut up parts of it for a short.
I hear you. Or will be.
But find a way to share this in your own words for your own audience in a way that you feel comfortable. But it's not just about Shem Tov. We say about the Zohar too, that the Zohar says when the teachings of the Zohar spread everywhere, it's going to be the redemption. So there's something about these core ideas that the Jewish people, for a long time, the mystics, the people that kind of wrote our Siddur and all the things that we believe and the foundations of a lot of the texts, and even the Talmud and the Chazal and all of the earlier stuff, hidden within that is these ideas as well. So this is the foundation of Judaism. So if you...
Foundation of the universe.
Okay. If you like Judaism...
And if you like the universe.
And you like... Yeah, okay. No, but seriously, find a way to encapsulate this idea that the world's constantly being created and God infuses his Hebrew letters into this, and share it with your audience, because who knows? Maybe, just maybe, according to my friend here, the redemption will come, and it's
not
going to
maybe.
be...
No, not maybe. Definitely.
Definitely, the redemption is going to come, and it's going to be earth-changing.
And heaven-changing.
So all this work that you're doing for your podcast to make a few more dollars and to grow your account and to get whatever it is that is motivating you and to support your family and all that good stuff, you won't even need to do that. You'll be able to do it if you want to, but you won't even need it. It's a shortcut.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
And the same goes for any of you else who's running. You're running successful organizations. You're teaching all these kids in your schools. You have big businesses. This is the one message that if you try it, it can't hurt. You'll do it once, and maybe you'll feel a little bit self-conscious at first, a little awkward, whatever is blocking you from trying to do this one thing. But if you do it, it could just be.
It will be.
And we have the assurance of the Baal Shem Tov and the whoever wrote it about the Zohar, maybe in the Zohar itself. But
it's in the Zohar.
And all the Chabad teachers, I'm sure, say these same things too. And my Chabad friend right here, and I'm willing to back it too. Yeah. I guess I'll get on that.
Are you willing to put your name on it? Yeah.
You go. Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's the real question. Yeah.
Just do it. Just print publications for your school. Put it in your local businesses. Spread this teaching. Make a viral video if that's your thing. And if you do it, it could just be, and maybe it will be, that all of the world's problems will be solved.
Instantaneously.
So give it a try. Immediately.
Exactly. That's good. See, now we're actually talking about the real stuff. This is what we should be doing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to change the world. Not only change the world, but reveal the real essence of what the world is.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you are someone who agrees with him that this is what the focus should be, and you do your part, I'll be willing to do my part. So I'm not really sold on this whole concept, but I do believe that there are ecstatic states of consciousness and redemption that is possible. I do believe in that. And I do believe that the authors of the Zohar and the Baal Shem Tov and the Chabad teachers new, very profound things. I don't necessarily take this teaching literally, but if you do, and you're willing to give this a shot, I'm willing to do my part. So let's make a deal. You share it on your platforms, and we'll meet each other halfway. However many views you're able to get, or if you're able to share little pamphlets that you've created and distributed, or if you run a business or a school, like I said earlier, if you do any of those things and you share it publicly, then I and probably many other people who will make the same commitment as me will put in my part. So that's the deal we have, all right?
Nice. Good deal. Not only Chabad people, but even billionaires and stuff. Like, what's the point of billions of dollars of businesses without the redemption? So literally, if you're a billionaire out there, then realize the whole purpose of everything is just to bring the redemption. And you can bring the redemption by making short clips like this one about the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, that the universe is constantly being recreated every second from absolute and complete nothingness with Hebrew words that were spoken thousands of years ago.
There you go. You want me to zoom in a little bit on your camera?
No,
we'll do it again.
That's good. Maybe,
okay.
Maybe I'll think about it.
That, by the way, is the one that is pointed at you.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I guess.
Huh?
I figured. I don't know if
you figured. I couldn't tell which one you were looking at, so I just wanted to make sure.
That's the idea.
Cool. All right. That was good.
Yeah. If you're an international superstar with billions of followers, you should know this. It's all for nothing without the redemption. So all you have to do is spread the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, that the entire universe and everything in it is constantly being recreated from absolute and complete nothing every second with the Hebrew words and letters that were spoken thousands of years ago. And by spreading that one teaching, that will solve all of the problems in the entire multiverse and beyond.
Do you care about the poor kids in Palestine? I'm serious. You see these photos? It's crazy. You know how all of that is going to be solved? Literally everything is going to be solved in this world by spreading the teachings that the world is constantly being created by God with Hebrew letters. That's just weird. But you can cut out
I might not.
the world's constantly being created. And by spreading these teachings, this is the mystical secret. You know what the secret the Jews have been hiding all this time?
I do.
They don't really know that they've been hiding it because only the mystics knew about it, and they kind of share it with each other, and they're trying to get their followers to take it on, but they don't really do it. It's this one thing that as soon as humanity wakes up, like we're in a dream right now, and as soon as we wake up, God's going to reveal himself, and all of humanity's problems are going to go away. So the way that humanity wakes up is by realizing that God is constantly creating the world every single second with Hebrew letters. And those words that he's saying are what's creating everything around us. And when we realize that, we wake up, and then he reveals himself. So whatever you're doing, all the social activism, climate change, anything that you're worried about, this is the secret of how you can get all of that solved right now. So do it. Spread this.
Yeah. Have you ever wondered what the solution to all the problems are instantaneously?
What problems?
Any problem that could possibly exist in any context ever?
I need an apartment. Yeah. What?
There you go.
What's the solution to that?
So the solution to all problems, objectively, is just to publicize the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of the Hasidic movement, that the entire universe and everything in it is constantly being recreated from nothing every instant. That is the only thing you need to do.
It's true. You heard it here first.
Maybe second, but you heard it here.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm not sure if anyone else has talked about this specific in this specific way we're saying it.
I don't think this might be the first time.
First of billions.
Yeah. Wow. Could you imagine what would the Arizal think?
He would.
You think he'd be a fan?
He's here. He's here now. Maybe deep down. I mean, this is 770. We don't want to reveal where we are, but we're in a secret location where the Arizal is maybe.
I'll tell you something. It's a secret.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's called Cidus ASMR.
I don't think they could hear that.
No, they could definitely hear this.
Okay, I'm not sure if that's
Cidus ASMR. You know what ASMR is?
ASMR? No, I don't know that.
You're ruining the ASMR by speaking out loud.
I don't know what that is.
ASMR is when the people whisper into the microphone.
I don't think that's a real thing.
It's definitely a real thing.
I don't think it's going to go through, man. I don't think it's going to.
Give me 30 seconds just in case it does.
Okay, we'll see. You might just listen to blank noise, so brace yourself.
Okay. Do you know that the world is constantly being created every every single second.
Yeah.
Dude, you're ruining it.
Okay.
Okay, there you go. Good.
It's not going to go
The
through.
world is constantly being created every single second. And when everybody realizes that the world's being created every second, then humanity is going to wake up from a slumber. And we're going to realize that we've all been dreaming. And everything that we could have ever wanted is going to be revealed.
That was good, but I still don't think that the audio picked up.
Well, we'll find out. That was the first Cidus ASMR. We're innovating. We are innovators.
This is like, we're literally at the tip of the Goldberg. This is like the new revolution. The revolution.
This is called a revolution. And it's funny because the Rebbe is a teacher. And revolution...
And we don't really believe in evolution, but if we put it together, then we believe it.
Oh, I was saying revolution.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
But this is a revolution because it's the evolution of the Rebbe's teachings.
That's good.
And it's something, something?
But
He would have wanted this. He would have wanted this.
Saying would have is pretty controversial. Most people would say he does.
He wants this. Do you know that there's this... I'm not going to go
That's good. What?
No, I was going to...
What?
I was going to poke fun and use the matter of the Rebbe as a subject, but I'm not going
All right. We can poke fun at other stuff.
No, I'm not poking fun. I'm just kind of stretching people's minds a little bit,
We'll stretch minds in different ways.
Yeah.
That's good.
Do you know the tunnels, the Jewish tunnels in Brooklyn? Crazy stuff. You see this? There's like mattresses and books with red stuff on the edges. You saw all that?
I should get one of those mattresses. Yeah.
Yeah, quite crazy stuff. Do you know what all those weird books say in them?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard this?
Yeah.
It says that the world is being created every single second.
Oh, really? What?
That's what they believe. They believe the world's
that?
being created every single second.
Who says that?
I guess it's written in the Kabbalah.
Kabbalah? Is that like some kind of drink or something?
No, it's like the Jewish secret teachings. They all. I don't know. And for some reason, they need tunnels for all of that.
Yeah,
we don't really know. It's suspicious, huh?
Tunneling, yeah.
Oh. Huh. We're actually right on top of the tunnels right now.
We are the tunnels, maybe.
No, this is literally on top of one of the tunnels.
Is it filled in with cement, or this one's not?
I think this one has cement in it. What did they cover up?
It's meant to be. I don't know.
These are great little segments.
Yeah. Have you ever wondered what the Jews have been trying to cover up for thousands of years?
Wait, what?
Exactly. Well, in case you had no idea what we were just talking about, there's a Jewish secret that's been around since before the beginning of time.
You're Jewish.
That's what they say, yeah.
Okay, so there's a secret, yeah.
And that secret, when it reaches the whole world, then all the problems of the world will go away instantaneously, as if they were never there.
Huh.
Well, I'm not sure about that last part, but take it however you want.
Did you see who won the debate last night?
We are the debate right now. All these things that exist in the fake world don't actually exist.
Whoa. So there wasn't actually a debate.
If it has nothing to do with the Torah and mitzvahs, then no, it did not exist.
Fake news?
Yep.
Wow.
Fake news, the real Jews.
So hey, can I tell you something? You've been on your phone. You've been reading, posts, clever little quips, responses to the debate. Said this, said that. None of it actually happened.
It's all a scam.
Wow. So what is actually happening?
What's actually happening is that the Creator is giving us the Torah every second. And he looked into the Torah originally and created the world. So since he's constantly giving us the Torah every second, he's also constantly creating the world every second for the sake of the teachings of the Torah and the Baal Shem Tov and for the mitzvahs to be done in this physical world.
Wow.
And that's the only reality that exists.
That's cool. And you know something? Maybe now that we spoke about Trump and Biden in relation to this, maybe now they exist a little bit.
Yeah, I know. I was hoping you wouldn't, so that way we could keep them non-existent.
Oh, they don't exist anymore.
Exactly.
Okay, fine. So this is what Chabad people do. Some of us, at least, I guess. This is what the teachers of Chabad sort of talk about, and then, the Chabad rabbis water it down for you. But this is kind of the unfiltered version of it.
What is?
So if you keep doing all the stuff and listening to all the things, eventually it's like 33rd degree Freemason, or like when you go up
Scientology.
to Scientology to like the top level.
Nice.
This is what you learn about. Sparks that got hidden in billions of eons.
Temples descending from the heavens made out of fire.
Yeah, and then they're gonna fly here. That's
Yeah,
what. That's
not
a
only
secret.
will a temple descend from the heavens made out of fire, but it will also descend. Not only it will descend to the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, but it says in the talk from 1991 and later edited in 1992 that it will actually descend from the heavens above 770 Eastern Parkway.
Like right here in Brooklyn,
the
temple's gonna fall out of the sky.
Made out of fire.
Out of fire.
And it will pull towards it all of the synagogues that exist in the entire world. And the synagogues will miraculously become uprooted from their place in the ground, with some ground still attached to them. And they will all collectively fly to the third temple.
Do you think this is maybe one of the most wildest ideas within Chabad teachings, and I guess within Judaism?
I think within any teachings, even you can't even make this stuff up. Even in like the most ridiculous fantasy novel, you won't find this stuff.
Okay, so it goes like this.
You can't even make it up.
First, we teach you about Aleph, Beis, the Hebrew letters, and lighting candles.
We lure you in.
Yeah, we lure you in. Did you put on tefillin today? Excuse me, are you Jewish? Excuse me, are you Jewish? You put on tefillin, all that. You shake the thing. Okay, fine. Sweet people, they don't know any better. You do what they want. But then slowly, we give you some of the materials. And you read about Abraham and his son and Moses, and you should be nice to your neighbor. And you go, oh, that's cute. I guess, I like them. And, I don't have any Jewish friends. I'm going to go to my local Chabad house. They're so accepting. They don't judge me for who I am. But then slowly...
over years of donations.
Yeah. Well, you're going to learn some deeper ideas. And the pinnacle of that is that right over here in Brooklyn.
In 770. Above 770.
Above 770, which they'll take you on a nice trip of. They're not going to tell you this part. They're going to show you like the...
I tried saying it one time. The guy's like, oh, you shouldn't tell that to that guy.
Yeah. Well, you're not supposed to know this stuff. But eventually, if you learn how to read Hebrew and Yiddish yourself, and you'll find out that what was said is that the temple is going to fall out of the sky, made out of fire, and then all the synagogues
above 770 is in Parkway.
Above synagogue, 770 right here in Brooklyn, 11213. It's going to fall out of the heaven, made out of fire, and then all of the synagogues from around the world are going to uproot themselves from the earth. Still some earth on the bottom. It's going to float. Are the Jewish people going to be in the synagogues?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, the Jewish people are going to be in their synagogues, and then the synagogue is going to float above the temple here, and then from here...
770 is going to be also become uprooted from its place and become attached directly to the temple. And all the other synagogues will be attached to the temple through being attached to 770.
All the synagogues are going to attach to the 770 building that we're connected to now. And then we're going to connect to the fire temple.
Yeah.
And then from there, it's going to go to Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And then it's going to land...
all the Jewish people,
And all the Jewish people are going to
be uprooted from the places wherever, even if they weren't in the synagogues, they're going to
fly, yeah.
Lift up from the ground wherever they are and just all go.
Wow.
And then since the temple is really spiritual, made out of fire from the spiritual worlds, it'll become merged with the physical world, and then that'll combine the heaven and earth.
The spiritual and the physical are going to reattach there. And what if you're in a synagogue in Jerusalem? Are you going to fly to Brooklyn and then back?
Yeah, I was wondering that also. That's a very good question.
Anyhow, but this is the top level teachings. Question. So one of the top level teachings. Usually you got to pay a lot of money before you hear this one. So you got a good deal here.
Yeah, I know. You can't even make it up if you tried.
I guess so. Don't ask ChatGPT to make up a similar story. We don't want to test that hypothesis.
Literally, I don't even think like the most creative like fantasy writer could even think of this. Do you think so?
Well, I don't know, but
it's real. Reality.
I want to tell you one other thing, and this is controversial. It could be that it's a metaphor.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I mean, it could also be.
Some people say that it's a metaphor.
No one says it.
But nobody really says it.
Yeah.
Nice. Any other
that's good.
things that need to be
These
shared?
are the main thing. These we're doing that.
By the way, that has to be cut into its own clip with like a very aggressive thumbnail about secrets
with
and
the fist raised and stuff.
Yeah. We should probably do some poses.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, good.
See, earlier the podcast was kind of like not so. We weren't sure what we were going to talk about, but now this is what.
This is what you want the podcast to be like.
Not only this podcast, this is what the entire universe is going to be like soon. When Mashiach comes, you think that these billboards and newspapers are talking about all this stuff that don't mean anything. No. When Mashiach comes, the only thing that these newspapers and billboards will say is only what the next teaching is going to be in Chabad. What this Chabad teaching is, they're going to talk about what the current discourse, Hasidic discourse is that everyone's learning. That is literally what everyone in the universe is going to be talking about in all languages forever.
Every billboard, all the news. It's going to be maybe the weather.
Current events. Nah, who needs weather?
No weather.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe we'll have weather. It doesn't say.
No weather.
It doesn't say if we'll have weather or not.
So it's just going to be. By the way, in this upcoming week, the Chabad Hasidim are now teaching a new mystical thing. You heard the teaching about flying in the sky, connecting to the temples. Now
we have other stuff. I mean, that's the main. I mean, after that, there's going to be a new splitting of the sea.
Okay, let's talk about this one. This is another 33-degree Freemason Scientology top-level teaching. We gave you one. This is another one. Top 5 most secret, maybe absurd, but really mystical, can't make it up, Chabad beliefs. Number 1. All the temples in the world fly to Brooklyn, and then from there to Jerusalem. Second teaching, new splitting of the sea. Take it away.
Yeah, so the splitting of the sea happened thousands of years ago. But it says, in the splitting of the sea in the Torah, it says, then Moshe and the children of Israel will sing. And the word then could also mean in the future tense. And the word sang could also be read, they will sing in the future.
So this is a proof? What are you telling me now?
Yeah, it's one of the proofs.
Oh, there's a proof. But what's the thing that it says is going to happen?
It says in one of the prophecies in the prophets that the Shem is going to dry up the Egyptian sea and make a pathway for the Jewish people. So there's going to be a new splitting of the sea. The sea will split a second time.
Which sea?
The Egyptian sea. The same sea that split originally, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Did you know that the sea by Egypt is going to split again?
And it says the original time is split. It says the point of the splitting of the sea is to reveal the hidden energy of the Creator that we usually don't see with our own eyes. But during the splitting of the sea, they could actually see it. Usually a sea, it's water. It hides all the stuff inside of it, just a bunch of hidden worlds. But then the splitting of the sea, the main miracle was not just that the sea split, but that the sea was transformed into dry land. It says it was dry. The ground they were walking on was perfectly dry. That also caused all of the spiritual energies that were completely hidden to be totally revealed before their physical eyes.
You lost me. You're saying that soon, by Egypt, the Nile River, whichever sea it was, is going to split again.
Yeah.
And then you're saying something about the dry land. It's going to be dry, and then you could see God?
No, they're saying the original. What does it mean? The sea is going to split physically, but what is it going to cause? It's going to.
What's going to cause?
It's going to have an everlasting effect on the world, also. So.
Oh, okay. There's going to be a chain reaction when the sea splits, and what's that going to be?
So when the original sea split, it says that there was hidden worlds were revealed.
Okay, so hold on. I know one step at a time. So, 2,000 years ago, the sea split. 3,000 years ago.
3,000 years or 35. Yeah.
Okay, that number years ago, the sea split, and then when that happened, what was the other thing? You said the God, something about God? What happened?
Something about God. Yeah, everything about God. Yeah, usually there's a bunch of spiritual energy that's hidden. Hashem creates the world with every second, but we don't actually know what that. We say Hashem creates the world every second, but what does that even mean? We can't even see it. Everything just looks like physical matter with our physical eyes, but no, everything is hidden. The way he creates the world every second is in a way that's hidden and not understood because it's totally beyond the comprehension of created beings. But at the splitting of the sea covers over that which is in it. So the splitting of the sea also represented the splitting of all of the spiritual boundaries that hides people's perception.
Whoa.
And during that splitting of the sea, they were able to actually see the word of the Creator and everything, and all of the energy behind the words, and they were actually able to understand and see literally how the world is being created every second.
So who did that? Moses, no?
Hashem split the sea. Hashem told Moses to wave his hand over the sea, but I haven't seen.
So when he did that, the sea split, and then all of a sudden, everyone saw that God was creating the world every second. There was the spiritual matter behind the reality revealed itself.
Yeah,
and that's going to happen again.
It's going to happen again in an even greater way. It says because earlier it was only temporary, but this time when it happens, it's going to be forever.
Wow. So now the sea is going to split again. And when it happens, everyone's going to be able to see God in the world.
The speech of the God in the world, yeah. And not only the sea, but there's going to be also even greater than the splitting of the sea is the splitting of the river. The Euphrates River is
Which river?
The Euphrates River.
Like from the river to the sea?
No.
In Israel?
Not sure if it's...
Is that the river?
No, that river is the Jordan River.
Oh, so which river are you talking about?
This river is the Euphrates River, which is the river that flows from Eden to water the garden.
Where's Eden?
That's a very good question.
Okay, fine. So there's the Euphrates, but it's the Euphrates.
Yeah, the Euphrates
So the
River.
Euphrates River is going to split.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's even greater than the splitting... Oh, wait, are we still recording?
Oh, mine ended.
All right, well, one camera went out, but at least we could still finish.
Yeah.
So... The splitting of the Euphrates River is incomparably greater than the splitting of the sea. Because the splitting of the sea is like everything is gathered together, it's all in one place. That represents how speech, when someone talks, the words are like all one thing. Like someone takes all their emotions and ideas, they write it into speech or say it, and that's what it is. The speech is just one thing, all gathered together. But a river represents letters of thought that are constantly flowing. River constantly flowing. And the more the river flows, the stronger it gets. So it also, just like the sea conceals everything else in it, the river also hides over some stuff that's in it. You can't really see at the bottom of the river, but it's hiding it, but it's also flowing. So that represents letters of the mind. So letters that are spoken hide that which is in it. Someone who doesn't know how to read doesn't know what the ideas of the letters are. The letters conceal things. So the sea represents the letters that are spoken, the letters that the Creator speaks to create the world. And in general, before the splitting of the sea, that idea is hidden. The fact that the Creator creates the world is hidden. It's like someone who doesn't know how to read a language, looking at the language, they don't know what it means. So it's like people look at the world, they don't really know what the world is. It looks like its own existence. But really, at the splitting of the sea, it's like as if someone was able to learn a language, then they're able to understand what the language is actually saying. So at the splitting of the sea, it's like as if they were able to learn the language of creation, and they were able to see in the world itself how the world is being created from Hashem. But then the river, which is constantly flowing, represents letters of the mind. So even the mind, people think about things in their mind, and those letters of the mind also conceal deeper ideas behind them. But then at the splitting of the river, it says that's going to split, so to speak, the letters of the mind of the Creator, so to speak. And that's going to reveal the level of Eden itself. Eden means delight. It says a river flows from Eden to water the Garden of Eden, which the Garden of Eden is a separate place than Eden itself. Eden means the essential delight of the Creator. While the Garden of Eden is only like a place that gets like little pieces of delight here and there. But then the splitting of the Euphrates River, that will reveal the essence of Eden itself, and that will be manifested in all of existence completely and forever. And that's what Mashiach is all about.
Wow. So I'm not on camera anymore, but I just want to split into two things. So you said that
come over here. Here we're going to take a little switch to account for no cameras.
No, I'll just move my chair
over. Okay, we're switching. We only have a few more minutes.
No, here. Why don't we just do this?
Okay, that's good. Bear with us. Oh, here we go. Finally, we have the wide shot that we were waiting for like hours. All right.
While we're at it.
Yeah, okay. or will we?
So,
yeah. Welcome to the
I just
wide
wanted
shot.
to add so I wanted to clarify. You said that the sea split 3,000 thousand years ago.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, God revealed Himself in the world, and you said
all the water in the world split at the time the sea split.
So that's crazy. So what you're saying is that the sea is not just the physical sea that split; it also represents
the whole world. Yeah.
It also represents like physicality.
Yeah.
Like physicality is hiding, just like the sea hides everything that's inside of it.
You can't see it.
You can't see it. It hides.
Yeah.
It hides God. So when the sea split all over the world, every single water split, God revealed Himself in the world. Wow, that's crazy. So then the second thing that you said is in the future, the Euphrates River is also going to split, and the river, you said, just like with the sea when it split, it hides the material. So like at the same time that all the water split, the material revealed God behind it. You're saying that the river also hides stuff? It's like a current of
so that's
thoughts?
the thing. That's the thing. The things. So when the materiality hides stuff, hides the spiritual behind the material.
Yeah.
So on the surface level, one's like, okay, there's just physical and spiritual. That's it. But no, within spiritual itself, there's different levels of spiritual. So the energy that was revealed during the splitting of the sea, that was still concealing other stuff, other higher spiritual energy.
Whoa.
And that other spiritual stuff that was hidden even during the splitting of the sea, even that will be revealed with the splitting of the river.
But okay, so let me get this straight. Okay, so 3,000 and something years ago.
336 years ago.
3,336?
36, yeah.
3,336 years ago, all the water all over the world split in half. And at the same time, God revealed that behind the material world that we think is the real world is a spiritual world. And people saw it, and it was epic. But in the future, which is coming up very now, the river, not only is the sea splitting, the river is splitting. And the river, just like the sea hides the material,
the river hides the spiritual from other spiritual. From other spiritual.
Oh, the river hides spiritual within spiritual.
From other spiritual. There's different levels of spiritual.
So even if you think that you saw spiritual, what you didn't realize is that spiritual
is
itself.
also hiding other spiritual. Yeah.
Okay. Is this still recording?
No. Okay. That one's recording.
It is?
No, this one, the wide shot is recording.
The wide shot's recording. Okay. So it's hiding, because I can't see the light anymore. So you got to tell me it's off.
Yeah.
So the river's hiding spiritual within the spiritual.
Yeah, exactly.
And the redemption that's coming is going to reveal that.
Yeah, not only is it going to reveal what they saw at the splitting of the sea, but it's even going to reveal a new level that was never seen before, even at the splitting of the sea.
And you called those the thoughts. Like you said, it's like a stream of thoughts. Like, so you're going to see that the thoughts themselves.
So to speak, like the sea is like, so to speak, the speech of Hashem that's constantly creating the world. The speech, because a sea is gathered all into one place. So words, when you write down words or say words, like, it's not, the words don't actually like do anything. They're just like the words that you said or wrote. So that's like a sea is all gathered. All the ideas are gathered together.
Settled. They're done.
Yeah, settled. So But then the river is also words, because words in general conceal things. Like even if someone doesn't understand the language, then if they just look at the words, they can't understand anything in it. So even if someone does know the language, but the idea of letters,
code.
Yeah, exactly. The idea of words and letters is to conceal something. So either you can understand the language, but the point is that even thought has letters. So speech has letters that conceal your emotions and will, etc. in the letters. But even when someone is thinking to themselves, they think with letters. And those letters that they're thinking hide even deeper levels of their soul that are not even revealed, even if someone understands what they're writing.
So let me get this straight. If I'm understanding correctly, first of all, the sea splits again, which is news.
Second time. Yeah,
all right.
That's Jews.
Second thing is Jews. The second thing is that the rivers are going to split this time too.
The Euphrates River.
The Euphrates River.
It doesn't say if other rivers
now,
are
at the same time last time, people looked at the material world and they thought, oh, this is just physical. And then they're like, wait a minute. No, this is actually spiritual. But this time around, it's not going to just be that. They're going to realize that what they thought was spiritual is actually even more spiritual.
Yes,
exactly. And what we're saying here, just to take it a step further, you're saying that the physical last time was revealed as spiritual, but this time the thoughts.
The letters of thought, which also conceal deeper levels of a person.
Right, so like you usually, you are living in two places at once, because usually, this is a little weird and spooky, okay, but usually you're looking around you, you're going, oh, I'm just a man and I want a burger and I'm going to go out and, well, oh, look, my friend texted me, blah, 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 blah. And you're having two things going on at once. You don't even realize this. But usually you have a physical world that you're living in, and then you have all your thoughts, right? Your little mind chatter, saying all the things in your own little head. But in the future, you're going to realize that not only is the physical world around you being created by God every single second, but the thoughts that you're having in your own head are being created every single second by God. Whoa.
Yeah, that's true. It's debatable if the obviously is being created every second. It's like the force behind the spiritual is going to.
Oh, that's also God.
Not only also God, but like a deep. I mean, it's all God, but it's like what level are we talking about? We're talking about Eden is like, it says no eye has seen it. Regarding the Garden of Eden, it says in the Talmud, Adam was in the Garden of Eden, and it says the souls when they passed away, they go into like a spiritual state of understanding where they understand like a little ray of divine consciousness. The garden people know about, but it says Eden itself, the delight itself, no eye has ever seen it, and it says it's only going to be revealed.
I gotta interrupt you there because you just said something I never heard it before.
Okay.
Adam was in the garden. We know about that. That's in the Bible. I read that.
Yeah.
Okay, but you're saying he was in a consciousness of the Eden? What does that mean?
Well, there's different kinds of Garden of Eden. I don't know. There's a certain kind of Garden of Eden where it says that's an afterlife that souls go into. It's debatable if it's the same thing that Adam was in or not.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not sure if exactly. Sometimes there's like a physical Garden of Eden, and there's also different spiritual Gardens of Eden.
So you're telling me, if I'm understanding correctly, it's not just a physical place It's also
a spiritual consciousness.
Wow.
It's debatable if that's the same exact place that Adam was in, or if it's just a term that was borrowed from that, or if it's a similar. Well,
okay, so now what? Now carry on. Now you're saying that the no eye has seen.
No, so the Garden of Eden people know about. Adam was in the garden, and souls also go into a state of the garden in the afterlife to understand the secrets of the Torah that they learned in this world. It says the garden is Torah. Garden, the Hebrew word for gan is 53, which is garden.
Okay, so the Torah is like the garden.
The garden, and then they learn the Torah in this world. They learn like the Talmud, the revealed world, the revealed level of the Torah, and then they go to the garden in the afterlife, which is the numerical value of 53, which is garden.
I'm sorry, I have to keep interrupting you because I need to break this down into pieces.
No, that's good.
So you're saying that Jews, because we know Jews like to study the Talmud, and it says some weird things in the Talmud, but you're saying that...
Just went out.
Oh, okay, good. Good time.
Okay. That's good.
All right. Mission accomplished this time?
Yeah, that was good. I think it might go